Can you see and hear me right now, chat? Excellent. Thank you, Claire. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Paleontologizing. Welcome back to Eastern Utah. Welcome back to the earliest Cretaceous Cedar Mountain Formation. Welcome back to a live dinosaur dig out here at the Utah Geological Survey. It's Sunday, July, 19th? Doing my best to stay out of the quarry right now because I made the mistake of giving the crew a Bluetooth, and they're listening to some sort of sporting event right now, and there's all kinds of copyrighted music playing. So I'm out here in the heat while they're in the shade. But they're having a good time, and that's what matters. Anyway, it's good to see everybody here. Howdy. Gimpleg, Reality Ripple, Salty Anchor, Claire Bird, Deathsaurus, Lukai, and Chelmac Strikes Back. Hey, welcome to Paleontologizing. Yeah, Paleo Lord, hello to you too. What's shaking? It's good to see you. Yeah. Hello, everybody. If anyone is here for the very first time, well, let me introduce myself real quick. My name is Danny Anduza. I'm a dinosaur paleontologist. I'm here on Twitch trying to do some good old-fashioned science outreach. So for about 8 or 9 months out of the year, that means that I'm back home in my office, streaming paleontology, answering questions, going over new scientific papers, covering new dinosaurs as they come out, doing interviews with other paleontologists, 3D printing, all kinds of fossil news, that sort of thing. But indoors. During the summers, I go out and do field work, which is what I'm doing right now, working with the Utah Geological Survey, which is part of the state government of Utah, an absolute dinosaur wonderland. And that's what brings me out here from my home in the San Francisco Bay Area in California. I'm out here in the middle of nowhere, Utah, digging up dinosaurs with a crew of paleontologists and volunteers and students. And it's been lovely. We're starting to find the first decent bones, which is really nice. I'll show you some of them in a little bit. I think there's a halftime show or something going on right now. Dawn is dancing over there. I wish we could see this up close, but that VOD will duck on YouTube if I go over right now. Anywho, the whole point of these streams is to do science outreach, to show you, not just tell you, but show you firsthand what paleontology is all about, what fossil science is, how it's done, why it's important, why you should care about it. We've got several new species of dinosaur that we're excavating over there that we're pretty excited about, and for the next just over 2 weeks, I'll be streaming every time I can, every day that I can, as we continue to uncover these bones and map them and collect data and all that good stuff, and then, collect them. So yeah, I'm glad you're here. Welcome. Yeah. Talking about old dinosaurs. There you go, Galaxy Greg. Well, yeah, sure. They're new old dinosaurs. New in that they are. So we've got what we think is at least one, maybe 2 new species of iguanodont dinosaur, and what's almost certainly a new species of. So this is different from the one that's on currently. There's a brand new species of ankylosaur that I think he's getting, and it'll be named after a good friend of ours. So I'm excited about that. He already knows about it. It's not a surprise. But anyway, actually from this vantage point up here, you can actually see camp over beyond the quarry where I'm pointing. You see those 2 big portable garages there? That is camp. We've got the trailer in there with the refrigerator. We've got the garages with our picnic tables underneath, where we keep the water and the food and stuff like that. And then you can actually see the roof of my tent. There's a little orange dot off to the left of camp, and then just below that, a big white blob. That's the rainfly on my tent. So we haven't been able to see that on stream yet. Maybe you still can't. I don't know. This camera is not great for long-range stuff, but yeah. Excellent. So cozy, says Claire. Yeah, it's a very cozy right now, according to our thermometer. So certainly not cold, I can tell you that. Yeah. And the crew's very lucky to have some shade right now, but again, as long as that copyrighted music is going, I can't go over there. I'd risk this VOD getting nuked. Yeah, is it cold out today? Not cold enough, yay. Yeah. Oh, and those of you who are here right now, count yourselves lucky. I will not be streaming tomorrow. We're going to be doing a little kind of day trip, going around and looking at some of the local geology, and we've got a few crew members who are and some geological wonders here in Utah. Raheem takes off, I think, Tuesday morning or Tuesday evening. So we want to, you know, let him drink in the splendor of Utah before he's got to go back home to the UK. So that'll be nice. Yeah, rock trip. There you go, Claire. Yeah. It'd be cool. And then we'll go get some cold drinks and stuff like that. Be able to on the air conditioning in the car. That'll be nice. It's a welcome respite from the heat out here. We're over here waiting for that music to stop. Why don't I do a customary little walkthrough? Let me point out some of the local plants in the area to you. There's one. And there's some more. And there's some over there. There you go. Oh, Becca Paintmore, sorry. That's how it goes. I'm not an expert in plants, definitely not, but I know we have sagebrush. I think this is sagebrush here. This is some sage. Does it smell like sage? It doesn't really smell like anything. Maybe this isn't sage. It looks like it, but maybe it's just not particularly. Over here, also called Mormon tea. And I think maybe you can actually make tea out of this. But these are kind of our dominant plants in this little valley. And then we've got this too. I'm not sure what this is with the flowers on it. I should take a picture and put this on a naturalist and see if I can determine what it is. But yeah. Again, pretty harsh environment here. We also have this. There's probably some around too, like tumbleweed. But yeah, this is not really the sort of place that you go for a botanical expedition, you know? Not a high diversity of plants in this area. This valley is incredibly dry and dusty. And it seems drier and dustier almost every year, so yeah. Likewise, we don't see a whole lot of birds. I found one bird this morning. I'm not sure what it could have been, a cowbird or something. And I put it on a naturalist because I didn't know what it was. But we might see a couple of birds every day, and not species of bird, but just individual birds. There's been like 3 or 4 days here on a stretch when I've not seen a single bird all day, and we're outdoors all day here. So imagine that, just walking outside and like, yeah, I don't see a bird for multiple days. That's what it's like here sometimes, you know? And no, the bird didn't look like a cowbird. Yeah. And Swarland says, I thought you were good at identifying dinosaurs. Let me show you the picture. And then you can tell me what it is, because it was pretty nondescript, and I don't feel bad about not necessarily knowing. There we go. I don't think it's a grosbeak, and it could be a cowbird, but I don't know. Yeah. Oh, is the music over? Let's see if we can go over there. Yeah, again, it's what we might call an LBB, a little brown bird. Yeah. Any bird here is noteworthy, so I try and take pictures of any birds that we see. But yeah. I think the music might be over. I think this is a commercial. Anyway, welcome to the quarry. If it's your first time here, then this is where we're digging up hopefully several new species of dinosaur. Waving to the locals. So I'll take you for a little stroll around. Yeah. And Ephedra's a gymnosperm? I didn't know that, Dr. Hubbs. That's really cool. It's known from the early Cretaceous of China. Really neat. Well, we're here in the early Cretaceous of Utah. I wonder if, well, yeah, I don't know. We're not going to find any Ephedra fossils here, but we've got plenty of modern Ephedra growing around. But, yeah. Yeah, there's Chemo there. There's Laura.
I'm plugging your stream right
Jameson.
now.
You are?
Yeah.
Thank you. Nice. Yeah. Cool dinosaur on your shirt, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah.
Archaeopteryx.
Yeah. The brand is called Arcteryx. So.
Right, yeah, the brand name?
Yeah.
That's based on the Berlin Archaeopteryx specimen.
Really? That's cool.
Yeah. That's the really famous one. Alright, anything... What's that bone turning into over here?
It's gone. We found something else.
Oh, okay.
Gone.
Grab a look at this real quick.
We've got another little bone over here. Let me show you this. Henry found this earlier, I think. This could be a bit of an ischium, maybe?
Oh, yeah.
It looks a little too round and cross-section to be a rib.
Hand the thin glue over.
Thin glue? You got it. There you go. Yeah. So, the bones are starting to look like stuff, which is good. Always a good sign. Yeah.
Okay, granted, that's not my clip.
So yeah, there we go. This could be the distal end of... It could also be part of a vertebra. I could see this being like the transverse process on a caudal from an ankylosaur or something. But it doesn't quite look like a rib.
Point there.
Yeah, yeah. So we have the end intact. I wouldn't be shocked if this is part of a vert. I don't know. What do you think, Don?
I think
it's like a shard of some long bone. Yeah, it's it'd be awfully big for anything on a vert. But yeah, I think
You don't think it could be like a transverse process?
I mean, we don't have anything nearly that big.
Okay.
Plus, it would come to like a rounded point if it was a ankylosaur.
Okay.
I don't know. It's hard to indeterminate.
Interesting.
I think
Okay.
that's all there was.
Well, cool. It could be the end of an ischium or something like that. One of the hip bones. Continue digging. Yeah. And let's see. You're getting a compliment on your tattoo there, Kai.
Which one?
The
Oh, that's one I got.
Airstream, or what is that?
Yeah, I got it with my brother.
That's really cool. Nice. Yeah.
We-
Very Colorado, I would say.
Actually, Idaho.
Idaho, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Very Idaho.
Because
Sure.
we had so many siblings growing up, we would every summer we'd basically just live out in the trailer to have a little spot.
That sounds really cool, yeah. Neat.
We got it a couple years ago. One of my least painful ones, and he said it was his most painful one. So.
Okay, interesting. Nice.
I think it was Bieber that kind of brought you down, wasn't it? I think Bieber was a bit slow for you.
But yeah, good stuff. Oh, very cool, Claire. Nice. Yeah. And Larabug, how are you doing? Welcome to Paleontologizing. Good to have you here. Again, they're listening to the World Cup right now on BBC Radio, so I'm maybe not going to be spending too much time in the quarry today as a result of that. I want everybody to be able to enjoy that. I guess it's the last game or whatever, so that's my speaker. I'm not going to be like, hey, give me my speaker back. So, But yeah, if any of you have any questions about anything, this is an excellent stream to ask them. Especially on a Sunday, I feel like our viewership is a little bit lower. Things move a little slower, you know. There's more opportunity for interaction with the chat. So, yeah. Let me know if you got any questions or anything like that. And get some more water, too. Again, here's our satellite dish, from which I am broadcasting to you live via satellite. These are solar panels. I should probably turn those around so they catch the sun a bit more directly. I'll do that in a minute. There we go. So, these are pointing that way. The sun is up there. So let's turn these around. That's better. There we go. Lovely. Yeah. And Dino, how old is Fred Flintstone? Wait. Dino. Oh, Dino. Well, yeah, so I guess Dino from the Flintstones would be what we are the long-necked plant-eating dinosaurs. But sauropods, Dino's not like a brachiosaur. Doesn't look like maybe a prosauropod or anything like that. I would say maybe well, it's such a generic looking animal. There's not a lot of like characteristic elements to it. It's some kind of sauropod, so it doesn't really narrow things down very much. The sauropods were a long-lived group of dinosaurs. We've got the first like true sauropods, not just basal sauropodomorphs, but like true sauropods back in the early Jurassic, I think, with critters like Volcanodon. And then they go until the very end of the Cretaceous. So that's from about 200 million years ago until 66 million years ago. So we're talking like 140 million years almost. So there's a pretty big span there. Doesn't really narrow it down. 140 million years is not a long time. It is a long time. It's not a short time. So, yeah, can't narrow it down very much, unfortunately. But, yeah. I'm sure that's not a very, it's not the most satisfying answer, but it's the best I can do, you know? Yeah. And Illispid, hang on a second. I had a question I'm trying to decipher. Yeah, so it's not because we're digging in mudstone that we're getting single bones, Claire. It's just that it's not the lithology that dictates that. It's that these animals, after they died, they were laying out on the surface for a long time before their eventual burial. So let's talk about that for a minute. Let me go get the book. I think we've got some images that Krista included in there that might help us to understand this a bit better. So here at this site, we've got hundreds of dinosaur bones already recorded from here, already collected. But they are what we call disarticulated. So they have jumbled up and been scattered all around. There we go. There we go. Yeah, excellent. So this is a digital painting of the Ethan's bathtub site, the Mierosaurus quarry, the Gary's Island site. That's right over there, like literally just those bluish rocks right there. So just to the right of the bicycle, there's Don's bike right there. Just back there. That's this site. So we had a big sauropod dinosaur who got stuck there. Mierosaurus got mired in the mud. We've got Urgavuchia right here. They're eating a turtle. Poor turtle. And then we've got some iguanodont dinosaurs. Yeah. So I'm just kind of walking around, and then there's a dead ankylosaur being torn apart by some crocs. So this is the kind of environment we're talking about here. So the lithology here, these mudstones, show that this was an area that was mostly kind of like, well, it's clearly a lowland environment. Pretty muddy, mucky. Sometimes there would be flowing water that would come through. Maybe this is near a river, and occasionally the river would overflow its banks, flow through and deposit pebbles and other bones and stuff like that in here. We do get bone pebbles, which are when bones would break apart, they get tumbled by flowing water, they get rounded, and then they get deposited. But then there were other dead dinosaurs that were just lying here on the surface, like this guy. And those are buried, but not after being torn apart by crocs and other scavengers like that. So, yeah, that's kind of what we're dealing with. This is a pretty low energy environment, but stuff was sitting around for a long time before it eventually got covered by sediment, which is why the skeletons had a chance to be scattered around. The bones got disarticulated, all of that. Does that make sense? Yeah. Iconic song says, buffet. Yeah, and we do find a good of teeth from predatory animals, or scavenging animals too. Carnivorous animals, in these quarries. So we've got croc teeth, we've got some theropod teeth from guys like this. So this is not the like critters are getting buried by flash floods, attacked. Stuff is lying there on the surface and getting pulled apart by scavengers before it's getting buried most of the time, which is why the skeletons are disarticulated, like you see with this guy here. Yeah. Anyhow, I hope that makes sense. And is Ken here in the chat? I didn't see him. Let's see. Ken, I hope you're doing well. Hello, hello. Where are you in the chat? Ken says, nice tarp. Oh, thanks. This is my personal tarp for where I keep the jackery. And then other people have started putting their stuff under here too to keep it cool, and that's okay with me. It's 108 degrees in the shade, so it is pretty hot here. Oh, 107. Excuse me, it just went down. Oh yeah, having a tarp like this, it's a nice thing to have. I hope you're someplace cooler right now, Ken. When are you coming out here? I hope it's soon. But yeah. That's too hot, says Sammy Keen. I mean, it is what it is, you know? That's what it's like out here. Yeah, that's Utah during the summer. People ask, like, why in the world do you dig during the hottest part of the year? And the answer is, that's to do it. We rely on volunteer labor to do this kind of work. We can't do it during the school year because the students are in school. So we've got to do it when they're out of school, and then when some of us don't have other obligations. So it's this time every year. Mid-July to early August every year we come to Doling's Bowl. This is my 5th year out here. Don and Jim have been coming out here since 2007, I think, almost every year. So, yeah. I've got other field work in other parts of the country during other parts of the summer, but this is Doling's Bowl time. About mid-July to early August. So our last day of digging should be about August 6th. And then I head back home to California. So anyway, it's, you know, it definitely does get hot out here, but it's worth it, you know? It's cool to have the opportunity to be able to excavate new species of dinosaur, be at the cutting edge of dinosaur science, at least one of the cutting edges. There's many cutting edges, I guess, for being literal. And just hang out, you know? I have been spending 3 weeks out of the year with these folks for the past 5 years now. And, you know, some of them are like family. It's pretty special, you know, to be able to just hang out with your people for 3 weeks out of the year, out in the middle of the desert, away from the things of man. It's a privilege, and sure, it's hot and dusty. Sure, it'd be really nice to have air conditioning or, I don't know, flush toilets and showers and things like that, but it's 3 weeks out of the year, you know? I can have those things for 9 months out of the year, and I am perfectly happy. Summer is a time to go out and do field work, and, you know, it makes you appreciate those things better. When I go back to civilization, I'm like, oh, wow. You know, being indoors is kind of nice sometimes. Having air conditioning and running water, flush toilets. One of the things that nowadays that I miss when I'm out here, it sounds stupid. This is going to sound very, like, precious. Like, oh boy, you're being extra, Danny. But, you know, I installed some on the toilets back home. Those are really nice to have, you know? Feel nice and clean. I miss that out here. Hopefully that's not too much information. It probably is. I apologize. But, you know, that's one of the things that I miss while I'm out here. But there's other things that I don't miss, you know? Being stuck in traffic, you know, smog, congestion, hearing sirens all the time, stuff like that. Highway noise. I don't miss those things at all when I'm out here. So it's nice to be away from the things of man, you know? Yeah. You don't like waking up with a layer of night grime coating you every morning, says Reality Ripple? Oh, you mean like... So back when I lived in an apartment in Oakland, sometimes my roommates would leave the windows open, and there would be just like brake dust and smog particulates that would just settle down on all these surfaces. We lived in like an industrial district near a pretty major highway. And due to a local quirk, the pollution there was really bad. This is like it was an underprivileged neighborhood for sure. And there had been an ordinance put in back in the 50s or something. There, all these wealthy people were building their homes in the Oakland Hills, and they didn't want truck traffic on the highways nearby. So they passed a law that all of the trucks have to divert and go through the poor neighborhood. Congestion issues and stuff like that. Just spewing fumes. So rates of asthma and other respiratory illnesses are really high in that neighborhood. Because the wealthy people didn't want it near them. They're like, sure, we have a highway in our backyard, but we don't want any trucks on it. So anywho, I don't have to deal with that out here, but it is really crummy that like there is that kind of I don't know, wealthy people just kind of making other people's lives worse. It's a problem. Yeah. But it's in Oakland. You can read about it. There's like an NPR story about it years ago. So you can tell I'm not making this up. But yeah, no, exactly, Dr. Hubs, yeah. And Not So Clutch, how are you doing? Hello, hello. Elitism, yeah. And Lenina says, for me, the most difficult thing to leave behind would be the night sky out there. Yeah, it's been cloudy almost every night so far. We haven't really gotten a good look at the stars yet. But, yeah, we will get some of those nights soon. But it is really nice, yeah. But oftentimes, you know, we go to sleep not too long after the sun sets. And it sets late out here, you know, it's summertime. So it'll be 9:30 p.m. before it starts to get dark, and then we're usually pretty tired. We go to bed not too long after the sun sets, so there's not always a lot of opportunity to look at the stars. But that's just us. If you wanted to stay up, you could totally do that. But yeah. And welcome, Agent Godiva. Yeah. Anywho. On a second. Is that somebody I know? Yeah, Agent Godiva says, hey Danny, it's Jameson's mom, Emily. How are you doing, Emily? It's good to see you. By the way, everyone, it's Emily's birthday today. She dropped by and brought us cupcakes for her birthday. And she brought us ice and strawberries and Jarritos soda, and that was lovely. So we're very grateful for that. Let's go say hi to Jameson real quick. Yeah. Jameson, guess who's in the chat?
Oh, my mom?
Yeah. She says hi.
Hi, Mom.
Yeah.
Not much has changed over here.
Yeah. Still working.
Well, yeah. Don told me I needed to take all this stuff down, so
Yeah.
I'm trying to get it all there.
So
It's gonna be a while.
that's important because like that'll be where your bone layer is. It looks like.
Yes.
So if you can take down that whole surface to that level,
Yep.
you'll be sitting pretty. You'll probably find some bones while you're doing that.
That is the goal.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Here, Kai, have you had a chance to look at the stars yet? I know you brought your telescope out here. What was that like?
It was really good. Honestly, my eyes were kind of tired from looking close to the dirt all day, so I didn't do it too long. But it was a pretty decent night last night.
Nice. Okay. Cool.
After I had got done looking for scorpions, I decided to.
Yeah. I'm glad that my flashlight worked.
Oh, that
with
was
it. Yeah.
so great.
Yeah.
I had so much fun with that. I think I probably found close to like 20, 25 scorpions.
Nice. Wow.
Ranging
Shoot.
from like little itty bitty tiny ones. Some decent sized ones.
Nice.
It was a lot of
Cool.
fun.
Cool. Yeah. I was afraid that it wasn't working when and you have to click it like multiple times to get it to work. I don't know what's wrong with it.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I had a really good time.
Excellent. I'm glad. Yeah. That Kai's going to be going back to Colorado for a few days. And when are you returning to us?
Hopefully like Thursday afternoon, Thursday night.
Nice,
you know,
okay,
Stay
cool.
through the weekend again.
Yeah. I got to go back to work. But Kai works for Rob Gaston over at Gaston Design, so he's got a really, really cool job. But yeah, it is still work. Work is work. So I'll be excited to get back here, and we'll be excited to have him back. But yeah.
I don't know. I might just leave it.
Anywho, if anybody else has got any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Beautiful surface over here. Shoot.
Yeah, we've got a number of bone shards exposed. This one's probably the nicest one.
Okay, yeah. Chunk of bone there.
But there are some more like rotten type bones here
Yeah.
and over here, and there's kind of a, I don't know if it's that decent, but there's a shard here and a shard on the surface here. So, yeah, I think we're starting to slowly uncover them, which is really nice. I'm excited to see what we're gonna find.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's promising. We've got the little pieces, so hopefully underneath.
It's like a Chinese reverse process there. This was just
Oh,
some
okay.
junk, but then I think it's,
Piece of a vert there.
yeah.
Nice.
I was just going to try to pop it, but I think I'll have to gypsum that.
Yeah.
There's something better looking there. That's kind of looking centrum-like anyway. So.
Yeah, cool. I've got a question. What makes this place different from Ethan's Wash? It's really just location, mostly,
Yeah.
right?
And then we get slightly, there's more ankylosaurs over here.
For whatever
It's
reason.
still primarily iguanodonts.
Gotcha. So chances are that's an iguanodont
Yeah.
vert just by the numbers. Cool. Yeah, let me point that again. Actually, if you wouldn't mind pointing, Don.
Yeah, so here was the stuff on the surface, probably part of the centrum.
Uh-huh.
And then that's probably transverse process.
Gotcha. The transverse processes are little wings that stick off the side of the vertebrae. Yeah. Nice. It's nice we're getting stuff.
Yeah.
Now, it's in the rock right here, or could that...
soil crack, yeah.
Yeah. It looks way too straight to be a root.
You can see dirt going around.
Yeah.
You can see over there all the cracks. Cracks. So, yeah, it's amazing. Some of these probably go down like 10, 15, 20 feet.
Shoot. I've got some over where I was digging, too. Yeah. Nice. Cool. What's the score in the game so far, by the way? 0-0? Classic football score. 0-0. 0-0.
It's you can really hear the Americans at the halftime. There's the British commentary being like, oh, 0-0, and then there's the announcers in the stadium like, and the score is Spain 0, Argentina 0. Like, yeah, this is a country that loves football.
Yep, definitely. That's a decent American accent too. I always find it really amusing when Brits do an American accent. Like, make fun of us. Like, we deserve it.
I can do like different words of different,
Give
you
your
know.
best shot.
Yeah.
I can be like garbage. It's total garbage. Like,
Trash.
It's my entire.
The trash can instead of the wheelie bin.
Into the bucket, please. Make sure it's in the right coloured bin.
Yeah, nice.
I spend too much time.
It's always fun in here. As simple as they are. And is that Dr. Javasaurus? Your username, Dr. Javasaurus, is like, it blends in almost perfectly with the background. So I can't see that it's you. That's so funny. But yeah, we are having a good time. Starting to find good stuff. Can't complain, you know? We're living the dream out here.
Oh yeah, we are.
And we've got football at the same time. Yeah.
I don't know.
And oh, Akira Cups has got a good question. Ooh. So this is something that I'm not an expert in, but how do bones fossilize? Excellent question. This is outside of my realm of expertise. I don't actually study this per se. I work on fossils, but the process of fossilization, how do you get from a bone to a fossil bone? It's something that I don't have the firmest grasp of, but I'm still going to try and explain the basics to you as I understand them. So bones, like you and I have in our body, are made of various things. Hydroxyapatite is kind of like the mineral component of the bone. That's what gives it its like rigidity and hardness. But also there's collagen in there too. And there's other stuff. Like bones are not dry. They're wet when they're inside your body, obviously. Our bodies are not dry places on the inside, thankfully. There's experiments that you can do that kind of help you to visualize how fossilization might work. You can do this sort of thing at home. Somebody in the chat can look this up and provide the exact details. But if you take, say, a bone like a chicken bone, if you're the sort of person who eats chickens, and you have some chicken bones left over after dinner, you can take those and you can soak them in a solution overnight, or maybe it takes about a week. I think you soak them in something like vinegar. Somebody look it up. Yeah. But that will dissolve the mineral parts of the bone, and it'll leave only the squishy, flexible collagen and stuff like that. And so after doing this, you can actually take a chicken bone, like say a humerus or a femur, and it's so flexible you can tie it into a knot. Fossilization is almost like the opposite of that, where you're leaving the mineral part of the bone, the hydroxyapatite, and then you're adding other minerals to it, minerals from the surrounding rock, from the groundwater. Those seep in and they make the fossil bone heavier, harder, and most of the time more brittle than the bone was in life, you know, or when the bone was fresh. We call this process permineralization, when there's minerals that seep into the bone and they kind of glom onto the pre-existing minerals in the bone already. And you can get different kinds of permineralization. Fossilization is not just one thing. There's a bunch of different that it can happen, and it's more of like a spectrum than it is like a sing sense. Sometimes we get preservation of bones that is just exquisite, where they're extremely detailed, like it's just like molecule by molecule replacement of some of the organic material in the bone by minerals. And then they're really, really hard, much harder than the surrounding rock. You get fossilization where it's not very well mineralized. Bones can get crushed by the overlying rock. Sometimes the surrounding rock is much, much more resilient, much harder and stronger than the fossil bone is. So there's some fossil specimens that I've seen where they must have been extremely difficult to prepare. It's like trying to concrete to get to a marshmallow inside. The fossil bone. This is what they study, you know? How do fossils form? And what are the different conditions that lead to good preservation versus poor preservation and stuff like that. So yeah. With vinegar, it was with vinegar. Excellent chlorojets. My great-grandmother showed us. That's really cool. Yeah. Yeah, and Lenina says opalized fossils are the coolest. Opalized fossils certainly look cool, Lenina. That's when some of the organic material in the bone is replaced by stuff that forms opals. But that's often bad news for the bones themselves because opals, they don't tend to be very resilient. They can be really brittle, really delicate, and then also subject to like expansion when you have, I think, temperature and humidity changes. Really pretty, but they're not great for studying. It makes the bones really delicate. So yeah, it's bad for preservation of data. Yes, yeah, but they are very pretty. You're right. Yeah. And Illysped says, wouldn't mummies be with the skin feather fragments? Yeah, so that's something else that I don't understand super well, but sometimes you get preservation of soft tissue too. It's not just the bones, but you also get preservation of skin, or sometimes even like muscle or organs or, you know, feathers too. And that's something that people argue about to this day, like, how does that actually happen? And in some of these cases, it's the actual material that seems to get preserved. It just gets turned to stone, essentially. It gets mineralized. But sometimes, it's not the actual skin or a fine mat of bacteria over the surface that, like, it stuff was. That stuff had rotted away. Maybe the bacteria had eaten it away, but the bacteria shows like a perfect outline of where this stuff was. So it's almost like you have the original thing there. I think some of the carbon film that you see around, say, fossil, like here's the tail fluke that's all soft, squishy tissue, but it's preserved in the rock. That may have been, that's the bacteria being preserved there in the exact shape of the tail fluke, or say the dorsal fin on an ichthyosaur, stuff like that. So, outside of my realm of expertise, I don't study this directly, but I know just enough to be able to. Yeah. And some fossils are called mummies. Is there a criterion for that? So yeah, the term mummy is kind of a loosey-goosey term in fossil science. It was popularized, I think, with some of the duck-billed dinosaurs that were found in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. So like you can go to the American Museum in New York and you can see some of these duckbill mummies, and they look just like a shriveled carcass. They've been fossilized, so it's not like they're squishy or anything like that, but the flesh dried up around the bones and kind of shrunk, and with it, the skin kind of shrank around and got fossil. Say a to is some of the flesh and skin is still preserved on there. And you can see this kind of like a cow carcass, like some poor unfortunate cow was banished to a desert region like this and ended up dying, and the carcass shriveled up. All of the soft, delicious bits, according to scavengers, things like the guts and the eyes and the brain and the muscles and stuff like that, many of that stuff got eaten, but what you might have preserved is that tough skin outside that's still there. So it could be like a bleached skeleton with just big patches of like rawhide. And if that were to be buried and fossilized, you might call that a cow mummy. Yeah, and sometimes it's like, it's just bones and skin. And and it looks just like a shriveled cow when you walk up to it. It's like, oh boy, is he going to get up and walk away? No, all of his muscles and organs are gone. He's just literally skin and bones. But if that were to be preserved, fossilized, you might call it a cow mummy in the same way that we have duck-billed dinosaur mummies. It's the same kind of process, as I understand it. So yeah. But yeah. And... Organs can calcify in organisms. It may have happened to dinosaurs and other ancient creatures. I don't know if it's calcification. Squiggles. And Agent Godiva says, what will you do in Moab tomorrow? Oh, I think what we're going to be doing is touring around looking at some of the cool rocks in this area. So there's all these beautiful crops and stuff like that. We'll probably do some driving up and down some of these dirt roads and pointing out some of the important dinosaur quarries in the area. Like here's where Utahraptor was first discovered. This is where Gastonia is from. And then and probably go into Moab, and we'll probably go get some burgers or something. I love the bookstore in Moab. Shout out Back of Beyond Books. I've got a great nature and science section. A lot of cool local history stuff too. A lot of like Desert Southwest books. We might visit Utahraptor State Park. I'm not totally sure what we're gonna do, but yeah. But we're gonna have a good time. What we're doing. And yeah, and because of that, I won't be streaming tomorrow. Title, but some people are watching on mobile and they don't get to see the whole title. So no stream tomorrow. But we're gonna be driving around, just kind of seeing the sights and showing some of the new folks local points of interest from a geological and paleontological perspective. It's gonna be fun. Yeah. And let me continue to scroll down here. Nice. And Squiggles, I had fun joking conversation with my girl at the store when we walked past the dino nuggets. Those are literally made of dinosaur. It's true. Chickens are dinosaurs, so yeah. There's some sort of name for that in philosophy. I forget what it is. But it's like, goodness. It's when like a thing is represented by a symbol, and then the symbol, like the original meaning is lost. So you just refer to the symbol becomes the thing. But then in some cases the symbol is made out of the actual thing. So dinosaur chicken nuggets are a good example of this, where, you know, in order to make them more exciting for kids, people took this, you know, chicken slime, dinosaur shapes, and deep fried it and froze it. Like, oh, dino chicken nuggets. And then we realized, oh shoot, with all these feathered dinosaurs discovered in the 90s, birds actually are dinosaurs. They are a kind of dinosaur. And so made out of dinosaur. It's funny to think about. But yeah. A simulacrum. There you go, Larrybug. Yeah, when the simulacrum replaces the original object or something. But then you make the simulacrum out of the original object. It's bizarre to think about. Yeah. A weird little closed loop. Yeah. The mind boggles, yeah. Yeah. And Renfield says, what would you need to dig up for all the world's paleontologists to be in total shock? Like revolutionary, a large mammal, or something else? There's a lot of things that we could find at a site like this that would kind of shake things up. We could find like a really early flowering plant that would push back the evolution of flowering plants by about 20 years. We could find like a large mammal fossil. That would be pretty bonkers. I don't know, there's a lot of things that I could imagine that would be really weird to find at a site like that. Yeah. Well, it would be cool. Some stuff that wouldn't be totally off the wall, but would be really fun, would be like if we were to find a stegosaur here. A few years back, we had a big weird bone that we we were puzzling over. We're like, what is this? It's long and thin. We thought there was almost a chance it could become a stegosaur spike. And that would be pretty bonkers because stegosaurs, we think, go extinct just before these dinosaurs are around. So if we were to find that, that would be a big deal. It would mean that stegosaurs survived into the Cretaceous. It turned out not to be a stegosaur, obviously. But we were really excited for a minute. That's one of the cool things about paleontology is one little discovery can change the way that we think of an entire lineage of living things, or extinct things, too. Like, a single bone can shake up our perception of the history of life on Earth. Which is why I think it's funny that, I don't know, I'm not going to get into a super long discussion about the nasty influences of creationism or anything, but like, if you're the sort of person who thinks that the Earth is only 6,000 years old and that dinosaurs lived with people, then why have we never, ever, ever found a human fossil along that of a Mesozoic dinosaur? You know? Why is it that everything that we're excavating, everything that we discover, fits pretty darn well with their understanding of the evolution of life on Earth, you know? It kind of gets into this idea of science being a field in which we test things, and the most robust and valuable hypotheses in science are the ones that are the most delicate. Or like, if you make a claim, you say, well, if my idea is correct, then all it would take is this one tiny little piece of data to tear the whole thing down. And if people work for decades and they don't find that tiny little piece of data, which should be really easy to find, if it just doesn't turn up, well, that maybe it means that your idea is correct, that hypothesis is true, you know? So for an example, like, you know, we know that human beings evolved pretty recently on this planet. Our lineage doesn't go back that far. Hominidae, the group of primates that leads to humans, have only been around for like less than 10 million years. That's one of these hypotheses that's really robust because all it would take is a single bone to just tear that idea down if we found hominid fossils in rocks that are much older, and it's never happened, you know? It's like, the classic example is, it might have been Karl Popper, who was a philosopher of science, who wrote about this. Falsifiability. He's like, you can come up with an idea, you say, well, let's talk about birds. Let's talk about swans. All swans are white. That's a bold statement, you know? And it's one of these things it's a very fragile kind of, delicate, I should say, kind of idea. Because if you just find a single swan that's black or brown, then your idea falls apart, you know? But it's a falsifiable idea. You're making a claim and you're saying this is how you would disprove it. It's almost paradoxical, but like that's how a good scientific hypothesis works. You make a claim and you say, here's my idea, and then here's how you would disprove it. You lay it out there. And if lots of people try and disprove it, and nobody can, well, maybe it's true, you know? That's how science works. So yeah. There absolutely are black swan squiggles, yeah. So, yeah. So that was a falsifiable hypothesis that was falsified, you know? Yeah. Anywho. Chlorojet says, I hope we find a civilization with written language from early hominids or even non-man. That's a huge discovery. I don't know how likely it is, but that would be a huge discovery. Yeah. Let's see. And pursue phosphatization. Interesting, yeah. I don't know much about that. I'm not an expert in diagenesis or permineralization or fossilization in general. Yeah. Oh, and Ancient Godiva says, can you talk more about the empirical method? Yeah, I kind of was there. Sorry it took me a minute to see your message. But yeah, I don't know. It's... Oftentimes you'll hear people say, well, you hear scientists say, well, science is the most reliable method of, you know, determining what's true that we have. Well, it's the most reliable way of knowing. And sometimes I shy away from saying that because I don't want to be like a science chauvinist. There's other ways of knowing things, I guess. You know, like philosophy, there's lots of different fields in the humanities, there's history, there's stuff like that. Different spiritual beliefs and stuff like that, but I think sometimes we as scientists talk past other people who are in the humanities or philosophy and stuff like that. But science is a set of tools where we come up with hypotheses that should be falsifiable, testable. We do that, we make observations, we look at stuff, and then we scratch our heads and we go, well, could it be this way? Could it be that way? Come up with hypotheses and we try and test them. It's not quite as cut and dry as it is in like a 4th grade science fair, where it's like, oh, well, question, observation, hypothesis, testing, conclusion. Science is usually a bit more complex and messy and interesting than that. To simplify it down, science is about coming up with questions, hypotheses that you can test, and then you try and test them, you know? And if an idea isn't testable, then it's not scientific. An example that I've used before is like, say you're at your workplace and somebody's lunch disappears from the fridge, you know? Who ate Fred's burrito, you know? He's really mad about that. Like, he was saving that thing, he was really excited to eat it for lunch, it's gone. And then Alice says, well, I don't know, but I think it might have been some magical interdimensional elves who took your burrito. Everybody goes, what? Well, let's try and test this, you know? Let's look for elf footprints, or let's see if they left any pieces of the burrito, or let's check the security cameras. And Alice goes, well, not so fast. They're invisible interdimensional elves. And even if they weren't invisible, they wouldn't show up on film anyway. And they just snapped their fingers, and then the burrito went into their dimension. Like, okay, well, that's no longer a testable idea, you know? You're coming up with, like, special pleading arguments for why you can't test it, you know? So that wouldn't be a very scientific hypothesis, if that makes sense. An idea has to be testable, and it has to be, like, grounded in the physical world in order for it to be scientific. And, like, we could have a big discussion philosophically about, you know, whether or not people should consider supernatural explanations for this or that. Like, you can if you want to, but it wouldn't be science, you know? Science has to deal with physical phenomena, and these things have to be testable, you know? And that's kind of, I guess in a way, it's kind of what empiricism is, or it's tied to that at least. This idea that, like, you have to be able to demonstrate things, or at least be able to try and falsify them. I feel like that's kind of the... If you're to distill it down, that's what science is, you know? We're looking at the physical world, testing things, coming up with an explanation, and trying to test that again, and other people try and test it, and we're trying to figure out what's real by running tests, doing experiments, you know? And in a way, what we're doing here, excavating these fossils, is experimentation, you know? We think, well, you know, we expect to find this and that and these types of rocks and this age of rocks because, you know, this is before we think flowering plants evolved, before big mammals evolved, we should have this kind of dinosaur or that kind of dinosaur. That's our hypothesis. We're testing that by excavating these fossils and seeing what we find. And sometimes our hypotheses are going to be wrong because we're big surprises. And that's exciting when we find that kind of thing. But in a way, this is an experiment that we're performing here, you know? So I hope that makes sense. Yeah. Those elves took your dinner too? I'm sorry to hear that, DNH. I hope you remain well fed regardless of that. Yeah. But yeah. And Otto the Potato says, I'm still patiently waiting for that feathered Utahraptor fossil. That would be the find of the year for me. I mean, we might have that already. That might be in the Utahraptor mega block. They need to continue working on that. Because there very well could be fossil feathers in there. Yeah. But yeah. And here, let me scroll up a little bit, see if I missed anything. Yeah. Addicted to Capping says, can you talk about the paleontological process of determining what goes into discovering what is a new species? Oh yeah, so that's tricky. We talked about this a bit yesterday, and I think the day before too. But I can talk about it again. But yeah. Murph says, so you're saying the least likely thing is the most probable possible occurrence? No, not the... No. The least likely thing is probably the least likely thing. But you can't just say this is more or less likely. You have to run tests. I'm going to take this out of the sun, because it's just heating up out there. Water. Yeah, well, let's use this idea of hypotheses and testing hypotheses. Let's apply it to dinosaurs. Now we've got a new species. Let's go back to that picture over here in the book. This is a picture painted there during the late Cretaceous. Earliest Cretaceous. About 142 million years ago. Here we go. Here's our big sauropod dinosaur stuck in the mud. There's those feathered Yurgavuchia fighting over a turtle. There's that dead ankylosaur and those living iguanodontians walking around. We expect to find a bunch of bones from these guys here in the core ring. We're already starting to find them. And we think that these are probably a new kind of iguanodontian dinosaur. We have a few reasons to think that ours is new. One of those reasons is the age of the rocks. We think that these rocks are older than any other rocks that we found these kinds of dinosaurs in before. So just based on that, they should probably be new. Dinosaurs are evolving and changing all the time. And so if you find dinosaurs from a new horizon of rocks that's unexplored, really, really good chance that those are new, you know? Dinosaurs never stay the same. They're changing all the time. As millions of years go by, evolution is occurring and they're changing. So that's our hypothesis, and we have reason to think that it's true. It's just a hunch there at that point, though. How do you test that? Well, the way that we do that here is we're excavating as many of these fossils as we can. We're trying to find as many bones as we can of these iguanodontian dinosaurs. And then the real work can start when they get back to the laboratory. The study starts. Clean those fossils off, get them into a state where you can actually handle them without them falling apart. And then you carefully compare them to the bones of other dinosaurs that are very similar. So you're looking for similarities and differences. And this is where it can get kind of subjective, because what might seem like a huge difference to one researcher might be a very subtle difference to another researcher. Say, well, this one has got it's much bigger. It's got much longer femurs, thigh bones, you know? It's gotta be new then. Well, you have to consider, are those thigh bones bigger because it's a different species? It's just a bigger animal? Or is this one an adult and the other one that was described before that you're comparing it to, maybe it's a juvenile? It's smaller because it's younger, you know? Well, how would you get past that? How do you eliminate? One thing that you could do the best thing that you can do in that situation is to cut those bones open and count the growth rings inside. If you've got a femur, then there will be annual growth rings, what we call lines of arrested growth inside. And so you can count those to tell how old the animal was when it died. So you can figure out if it was an adult or not using that process that we call histology. It's sort of like counting tree rings, you know? If you cut down a tree, you can look at the rings on the inside of it, and you can tell how long that tree had been growing, how old it was before you went and cut it down. Don't do that if you don't have to, you know? Trees are important. But anyway, you could do that for a dinosaur fossil. Figure out, okay, well, maybe it's small because it's really young. But then it turns out that the small one and the big one, they're both adults. Well, then that strengthens your idea that these are different critters. You look at some of the bones in the skull if you have those, because dinosaur skulls tend to evolve. And you can... If you get enough of these fossils over time, sometimes you can see a smooth gradation from the oldest ones to the youngest ones, geologically speaking. So these ones from about 142 million years ago, you can look at those, you compare them to ones that are a few million years younger, and sometimes you see a pattern where, like, you get a certain process on one of the skull bones, like a little bump or something, and then you see that grow over time as these animals are evolving and changing. And so it starts to make sense. It's not just, oh, these are different, it's a different species, but, oh, these are members of the same... Watch them evolve over time. Stuff like that. So we're hypotheses all the time, and our ideas about these things, we have more information. You know, the more fossils we find, the more data we've got. And yeah, that's important. I hope that makes sense. I should drink some more water in a second, but let me catch up to the chat. And Cacklinsworth, I hope you're doing well. Hello, hello. Yeah. And... Oh, and boy, yeah. The whole T-Rex auction thing. So I've talked about this for the last couple days. And I talked about the left of the field too. The whole dinosaur auction scam / financial bubble. It's frustrating because fossils like that... So, let me back up a second. There is a Tyrannosaurus skeleton that sold at Sotheby's in an auction earlier this week. It was on Tuesday. It sold for like $50 million. And dinosaur paleontologists, like me and most, if not all of my colleagues, think that this is utterly ridiculous because, first of all, fossils are, well, they're a piece of nature, you know? And a fossil like that can be a scientific specimen. We're not used to thinking of these things in terms of dollar amounts. Like, it just doesn't compute. It doesn't make any sense. And if you try and put a dollar value on it, then the way that you would do that would be, well, let's think about how much does it cost to find and collect these things. And the answer to that is almost nothing. It doesn't take a lot of money to dig up a dinosaur. I mean, what we're doing out here, this field work that we're conducting, costs maybe a few $1,000s for like nearly a month of work. We're going to find literally hundreds of bones from our iguanodontians here, brand new species. And it doesn't cost that much to do, you know? This dinosaur is a heck of a lot more rare than T-Rex is, too. Tyrannosaurus is one of the most common dinosaurs in the world. It's not rare. It is the second or third most common dinosaur in the Hell Creek Formation, after Triceratops and maybe Edmontosaurus. There's a bunch of specimens of T-Rex. And I'm not convinced that this one was particularly complete. When commercial groups and auction houses sell these things, oftentimes they're less than forthright about how complete the specimen is. And they'll use different numbers. They'll say, well, it's 63% complete by bone volume, or it's 71% complete by bone count or something. Like, no, just show us a photograph of the actual fossils you have. so that we know how much of that skeleton is just replica parts and other stuff that's filled in, you know? 3D printed bits and casts and stuff like that. They're trying to claim that it's complete. They use the word complete in it. So the whole thing is basically like a scam. Tyrannosaurus is not a rare dinosaur. It doesn't cost a whole lot to excavate. Yeah, and what's really frustrating is with $50 million, you could build an entire dinosaur museum and hire a staff and then set up an endowment to fund that museum in perpetuity. You could have dozens of new species of dinosaur that you discover, and then, you know, thousands of fossil skeletons and, you know, fossil sites that you excavate with really important data. Or you could have one crummy T-Rex that sells at an auction. It doesn't make any sense at all. So that's my take on that. I hope I doesn't sound like sour grapes. It's just maddening to hear, you know? And it's really frustrating when, like, the biggest dinosaur story in the news is that another T-Rex sold for multiple millions of dollars. It's ridiculous, you know? It's so frustrating. Dinosaurs aren't interesting or exciting because they're worth a lot of money. They're not. They're exciting because they're a really cool window into the history of life on Earth, you know? They're a reminder that we as human beings are part of this grand pageant of evolution that's taken place on this planet for over 4 billion years. They're a source of wonderment and astonishment and fascination, and they're a way to get people interested in science. And if people become more interested in science and they care about what's real and what's not, if people want to know what's true, then maybe people will treat our planet better, and we can lead better, longer, more comfortable, more meaningful, filled lives. But instead, with auctions like this, scientific specimens just get commodified, sold to the highest bidder. It just becomes about money, and it's just greed and pointless spectacle, you know? Sorry, I need to drink some more water. I don't feel like I'm being as articulate as I would like to right now, but I get heated about these things, you know? Yeah. Anywho. Yeah. Oh, and you're still here, Emily. Excellent. If you've got any other questions, please don't hesitate. We'll go walk around the quarry for a second, too. Say hi to everybody. But everybody else is enjoying the World Cup on the radio right now, and I don't want to sour that by yapping the whole time while they're trying to listen. All right, drink some more water. There we go. Yeah. Say hi to JMosaurus for me. Will do. Yeah. Yeah. What's the score now? Still 0-0?
0-0, yeah.
Yeah.
Argentina got a red card.
Oh boy. That means they're down one player, right?
Yeah, and it's just the end of full time, so we're just waiting for extra time to start.
Oh boy.
So bad time to get a red
Yeah,
card.
seriously.
Desperation from Messi.
R.I.P. Argentina. Wow.
It's all shame Spain.
I know, yeah, wow.
Like, if
Stakes
they
are extra
don't
high for
have it,
Spain now.
it's really embarrassing.
Yeah, yeah. Who was it who got the red
Almost
card?
final moment of
Was it
the match
Messi?
of the 90 minutes, and
No.
it could have been the final moment of the match, couldn't it? Had it
There'd be a riot, right?
did, that'll be over for them.
Yeah, the pitch would have been flooded.
Oh, okay. Uh-oh, it stopped.
Yeah, it kind of goes off periodically.
Oh, okay.
Martinez from Lamine Yamal,
Anyway,
who has had an excellent game.
It was all set
somebody
up.
said say hi to JMosaurus for
Hi guys.
Yeah, you're also been asking some really good questions. It's been cool having her in the chat.
Yeah,
I appreciate that, yeah.
Happy birthday!
Again, we really appreciate you bringing ice and strawberries and jarritos and cupcakes.
It was her 18th birthday today.
18th birthday,
Yeah,
really?
18th
Wow.
birthday.
Wow, I think
How old
he was
are you?
Only 60.
I'm like, I don't know.
2010 in the final. ASD, you've seen him here.
Anyway, yeah.
Bringing the trophy. You still fancy Spain?
It's the only way that actually works out.
Before the game, but in terms of
Yeah, nice work over here,
Yeah.
Jameson. Working down that surface.
Yeah, it kind of
Excellent.
sucks because I have to get rid of all this stuff. And all
Yeah,
that.
that's how it goes, though. It's tempting to just like dig a narrow hole and just go as deep as you can with it.
Yeah,
but
that's what I did with this.
yeah.
It was like here,
Yeah.
and then here, and Don was like, get rid of all this. I'm like, okay.
But this way, when you find some good bones in here,
Yeah.
you'll find them roughly the same time,
Yeah.
and
Exactly.
that'll be really, really satisfying, and you're less likely to wreck them that way.
Exactly.
So yeah. Teaching the new people how to dig here, and it's been good. Laura's doing a nice pedestal around that vert there.
We might have another thing here too. It might just be a horrible fragment, but
Yeah.
it might be something nice. We'll see when this bit gets lowered.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Doing a narrow hole, it's
Yeah.
also like, okay, now I have to take this much off.
Yep.
The whole thing.
And good job in keeping the nail intact too. That's always tricky when you've got to dig down,
Yeah.
and there's that nail, and you try not to disturb it, and
So I could go around.
you just got to kind of
and, like,
periodically hammer it down as you move rock
Exactly.
from around it. So,
Hammer is
yeah.
here.
Yeah.
We got a little
Nice.
bit of this coming out too.
Oh. Just pulled that out? Nice.
Like 10, 20 minutes ago.
Okay, yeah.
So, yeah.
Looks maybe vertebral?
Possibly.
Yeah, nice. Thank you. Cool, Chemo. By the way, let's get a shout out for Chemo, by the way, like we try to do every day.
yeah.
What's the Instagram account?
Chemo finds dinosaurs on Insta. Actually, Chemo finds dinos.
Nice.
We shortened it.
Yeah. Was yesterday?
Yeah, quite a few actually.
All right,
quite a few.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah, just posting daily updates. Be scaling a mountain today, so
Oh,
I might
that'd be
get
cool.
some views from there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so follow.
Awesome.
I'll have future projects up, research, stuff I do in future years, all of it.
Nice. Awesome.
And maybe
Thanks.
SVP later. Maybe.
Yeah, if you come to SVP, let me know and we'll see if we can do an interview.
Absolutely.
I'm trying to organize something with the communications committee with SVP, so we'll be doing live streamed interviews from the conference.
Oh, yeah.
So
That's gonna be a lot
that'd be
of fun.
cool. Yeah. Cool. Thanks, Kim.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, how's it going?
Any thoughts on what that's turning into there, Henry?
Well,
you looked at this earlier while you were out of
yeah, it turned from I am 50% sure it's an ischium to I do not know what it is. So it's very exciting.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, but it does seem that this thicker end is going to be like the proximal end, like closer to the rest of the bone, and this is kind of a natural here. So yeah, I don't know, like
It is weird looking. I first thought it was vertebral, but now with that rock removed from the top, does not look like a transverse process. Could it be a caudal chevron?
could be. It would like not really.
The end kind of looks too flat though. Like blade-like almost. I don't know what that is.
Just it depends on how much of it's actually there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other side is like split. Got that little curve, I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. Like if the other side actually goes into the rock.
Or if it's just a shard like from the outside. But I don't know, we often don't know.
Field identifications can be quite tentative, as as we've all learned. Yeah. Case in point, back in Wyoming in June, we have that site, Purple Puzzle, that for the past 2 years we've been saying is a hadrosaur, a duckbill dinosaur. And then we flipped one of the jackets, and holy cow, we were completely wrong. It's an entirely different kind of dinosaur. It was a ceratopsid. And we've got the skull, and that is extremely exciting. And Ethan and his people are actually working on that in the lab, like right now. They've got more of it cleaned up. They've got a nasal horn too. So anyway, the point is field identifications. When you're out here in the field digging these things up, you know, you don't have very much information about what these things are. They're just emerging out of the rock, and sometimes the ID can change 5 times in a day. You know, you think you've got an ankylosaur vertebra, and then part of it gets longer and thinner, and you're like, what? And then it turns into a rib for a while, and then you think it might be like a weird metatarsal or something. and then it turns into an ischium, one of the hip bones. So I guess the moral of the story is don't announce these things prematurely. That you think you uncover more of it, and it could be something completely different. So yeah. There you go, Mayor Space. Yeah.
It's too dangerous.
But yeah. Oh, and thank you, Murph Surf. No, I appreciate that. Let me go get some more water. And Agent Godiva, Emily says, have you found anything yourself, Danny? Not yet. I found a few like plant fragments in this area, but work has been slow here because I try and help out as much as I can with setting up the site earlier in the day, and then I have to like respond to emails and stuff. And then for 3 hours every afternoon, I'm streaming. I was gonna maybe work on camera here today, but we've got the football match going on currently. Yeah, I know it's not very good, so.
I'd be in the sun.
British Isles and overseas territories and everywhere else. Anyhow, not anything yet, but just working downward. I really need to widen this out, but I'm probably still too high here. It seems Don was saying that we're probably plunging to the north here, and so I would have to dig extra deep here to get down to the bone layer because of the tilt of the beds here. So
I have to go deeper.
Probably, yeah. Yeah. Which, I mean, you're gonna find good stuff. Oftentimes, like, the best stuff is deep.
Yeah.
Like, that's where you get really good preservation. If you had bones up here, they'd be all scrunched up, because this is all eroded.
Oh, yeah.
And you also notice, like, look behind Raheem right there, you've got that plant growing. Yeah. So those send roots down, and sometimes those roots actually seek out the bones, because there's minerals in the bones. Oh, yeah. The plants want those.
See, here's a little plant root coming out from just next to the bone.
There you go. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I found a couple of plant roots.
Yeah. So like, the deeper you go, the chances are better that the bone will be not as scrunched up, I guess. That breeze is really nice. Oh man. Yeah. Nice. But man. That wasn't a goal. It wasn't loud enough.
Because it was discounted.
But anywho, I've dug up dinosaurs in the Hell Creek before. Like, dug up some Triceratops, where there are certain bones that are just destroyed by plant roots. Because these plants will be growing here. They're sending their roots down, seeking out nutrients. And sometimes these dinosaur bones can be very nutritious for a plant. They've got cool special minerals in there that they can't normally get. So sometimes you'll get like a Triceratops limb bone or something, and there's just a mat of roots over it. These plants are sending their roots down and just coating the surface of the bone. And sometimes they'll go into a crack in the bone, and then the roots will grow in there and just kind of crack the whole thing apart. And that can be a little heartbreaking when that occurs. It does occur. We haven't really had that here yet, which is nice, but the deeper down you dig in the quarry, usually the less likely it is that modern plant roots are going to be a problem. Yeah, it's got what plants crave. Exactly, Larabug, yeah. 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 Exactly, Mayor Space didn't do a sports, yeah. Yeah, here, I'll get into how this site was discovered in a minute, but let me drink some water. And let me turn this book around so the wind isn't opening the pages. Filling them with dust. I saw that I had a comment earlier in the chat someone saying, "Oh, I'm impressed that you're able to walk around and talk about these subjects when it's so hot out. You must be pretty well acclimated to this environment." And I guess so, yeah. It's, how hot right now? This thermometer says 108 in the shade. Yeah. 107, okay. Well, it's cooling down. This is my 5th year working out here. And I've done lots of field work in lots of other very hot places, so yeah, I get used to it. And there are certain things that you do to kind of prepare yourself. You know, get the right clothes. I always wear shorts, unless I'm like at a wedding or a funeral or something. My body dissipates a lot of heat through my legs. It's just kind of how my physiology works. So that helps a lot. Nice lightweight shirt that's very breathable helps. And a sun helmet is perfect for this kind of weather. There's a reason why everybody from the US Postal Service to the Viet Cong preferred pith helmets in hot weather. And that's because there's a nice layer of air in between your head and the helmet, so that when you get the slightest breeze, the helmet funnels the air up over the top of your head, and it's almost kind of like air conditioning. It's probably giving it too much credit. It at least allows for some airflow, which is nice. And it shields you from the sun directly with the brim. It's a good thing to have. So if it's going to be above, say, 80 degrees, I'm going to wear a sun helmet in the field. Yeah. It's a very functional piece of headgear. I don't wear this to look cool or to look like a dinosaur scientist. No, it's... it's something that allows for survival in the desert when it's very hot out during the summer. Yeah. Put as much sun you get burnt. I'm also really lucky in that I'm not as prone to getting burnt as some other people. I think I can thank my dad's side of the family for that. We're Puerto Rican on my dad's side of the family, and I tend to tan pretty well. I do put sunscreen on every morning in my tent before I go out, but yeah, it's been years since I've gotten a bad sunburn. In fact, I can't even remember the last time I've gotten a bad sunburn. I know it can be like a slow attritional thing, like where you are still getting UV damage to your skin, but I don't know. I've got sunscreen on. I appreciate your concern there, Emily. Yeah. We had that other question that, where was that? I don't want to let that go for... Easily available data for plants growing at fossil sites? No, I don't think that sort of thing has ever been recorded on any crew I've been on, Dr. Javasaurus. Plants are going to grow where they're going to grow. They're not an indicator that there's fossils underneath. So I don't know if, yeah. I know people are really eager to try and apply large language models to paleontology. People in the chat love this idea, but I have great difficulty imagining any utility whatsoever for anything like that, to be honest. I'm not trying to be a killjoy, it's just... yeah. Time, effort, funding that I feel like it would be much better spent just fund some more field work, you know? Or pay a student to work on a project to finally sort out collections in this one museum, or do something like that. Like, paucity of resources in this field. Paleontology is so that, I don't know. I feel like any resources we have would be much better spent just doing the work on the ground. Rather than trying to fiddle with a computer model to try and eke out some degree of efficiency or something. It's like we're not at that stage, you know? Yeah. I don't know. Opinion. Not Gen AI. Oh, okay, well, I don't know. Yeah, finding fossils is not the finding fossils is not the difficult thing. That's not a bottleneck. Like here, and you could have 100 crews working in this little valley for years or whatever Jim likes to say, and you would still not run out of fossils. They're everywhere around here. It's a lack of resources that's the problem. That's our bottleneck. So if there's some way to bring more money into paleontology, that would solve a ton of problems. A lack of fossils is not the issue. There are 20, 30, 40 different sites in this valley that could be worked right now that we already know about, and we just don't have the time or the money or the people power or the resources to do it, you know? The Ethan's bathtub site right there, where I was working for the past 4 years, literally right over here, we could keep working there for decades and finding new stuff, and like there's going to be hundreds, thousands more bones in there. It's just in here, right here. Just behind Jim's place is Aaron's place, just over the berm from that. And there's going to be hundreds of more bones in there. And then there's Don's place. And then there's who knows how many. There's Fisher's place over here. There's just thousands of other fossils that are waiting to be found or excavated here. We need more resources. Anywho. But yeah. Lucas Exemplar says, do you ever do some archaeology work too? Not on purpose. So archaeology, I'm sure you already know this, Lucas, but other folks might not be aware of the difference. Paleontology is the study of fossils, so fossilized organisms from the ancient past. Archaeology is the study of human artifacts, remnants of human civilizations. That's everything from pyramids to Coca-Cola bottles, from arrowheads to, I don't know, hieroglyphs and things like that. Ancient tombs, burial sites, human stuff, you know? When we as paleontologists are doing our field work, we're digging in rock, whereas archaeologists dig in soil. Soil is much more recent, it's much looser. We're literally digging in solid rock here. So in this mudstone in the quarry, that's where these bones are buried. This stuff has been in place for about 142 million years. That's the domain of... Sometimes, however, paleontology and archaeology coincide. I'll give you an example. Sometimes there were paleontologists working 100 years ago, like up in the Red Deer River in Alberta, Canada, and they were finding dinosaur skeletons and excavating them, and they weren't taking very good notes. They weren't collecting a lot of data on their locality or the provenance of these fossils, and that becomes a problem nowadays. Like, we have this skeleton in a museum that's been there for 100 years, but where is it from? And how old are those rocks? The context is missing. And without context, a fossil is utterly worthless. You need to know where it's from in the rock layers to be able to tell how old it is. And then you can fit it into the evolutionary tree. Sometimes you need to use almost archaeological methods to try and figure out where a dinosaur skeleton came. Paleontologists a century before collected. So at the Royal Tyrrell Museum up in Alberta, Canada, has a really cool talk about this that I'd recommend you watching if you're interested in this kind of thing. Darren Tanke, T-A-N-K-E. He's become really good at this, where sometimes he can find in the archives like a crummy black and white photograph of some Canadian paleontologist excavating a site from 100 years ago. And he has to try and figure out where that is. So he'll look at the tree line, the ridge line and everything, and he can try and match it up to to different spots that he's seen when he's been hiking around. And then he'll actually go to these spots and see if he can find a hole in the ground that looks like it may have been a past excavation site. And in order to try and confirm or disconfirm something like this, again, using science, trying to test our hypotheses, he'll look for any artifacts that are left behind. Maybe there's a scrap of burlap there with some, a stamped logo on it. Or maybe there's an old scrap of newspaper that might have a date. Sometimes there'll be like an old tin of sardines or something, or a bottle cap, or part of a tin can. And so what Darren Tanke learned how to do was be able to date those different artifacts. Like looking in catalog, figure out the different markings on there. And so this one was only produced between 1897 and 1899. Implies that the site is probably this old, and that's when these paleontologists were working here. Stuff like that. So that is one of the rare instances in which paleontology and archaeology actually come together. It's pretty neat. Yeah. So I hope that is satisfaction. Yeah. And Edgar says you could probably make a solar-powered fan for the helmet. I've seen those before, yeah. Yeah. And Setsuo, sorry it took me a minute to get to your message, but it says, hey, just found your channel. Cannot believe there is a channel on Twitch about paleontology. Makes me feel like a kid again. Reading my paleontology magazines. Awesome. It is lovely to have you here. Let me know if you've got any questions. Normally I'd be spending a little bit more time in the quarry, but they're listening to the last game of the World Cup right now, and I don't want to be ruining their experience. So not tomorrow, but Tuesday, hopefully I'll be back in briefly to show you around. But yeah. I will be doing a lot more actual digging on camera over the next week. I'm going to be out here for a little over 2 weeks left. We've been out here for almost a week now.
They're really similar.
Yeah. What's the score? Same?
0-0.
All right, wow. Yeah. Oh yeah, well shoot, that's copyrighted music. I gotta get out of here. But yeah. And let's see. Danny's drinking the Kackenswerf, yeah. Also, I sometimes find fossils on my digs. Interesting. As an archaeologist, you find fossils sometimes? Not just in the natural ground, but in features too? Well, people have been collecting fossils for a long time, so that doesn't surprise me. There are archaeological sites here in the American West where collecting ammonites and belemnites and things like that and making jewelry out of them. So, part of like cultural expression, which is interesting. Yeah. Let's see. Scrolling. And King Vyman, hey, we're here kind of near the town of Moab, Utah, in Grand County. Eastern Utah, out in the desert. Who is that?
Spain, I guess.
Yeah. Spain scored? Okay. Well, does that mean it's over? Let's see if I have my face sunscreen. I might put some more of that on too. But if the game's over, that means we can go into the quarry. Let's put a little of this on my nose because I'm not sure I got enough of this on this morning. There we go. Sunscreen. There we go. Nice. Did I get it pretty well? Is it rubbed in? Yeah. Looking good? Thanks, Claire. Yeah. Excellent. All right. Let's see the chat. Dig dinosaurs? Me too. It sounds like you're in the right place. Welcome to Paleontologizing. Game is hopefully almost over. Kind of the quarry when it is. But we're just kind of doing Q&A, walking around for right now. So if you've got any questions about dinosaur paleontology, about the history of life on Earth, about the fossil record, about extinction, evolution, biodiversity, or the very philosophy of science itself, don't be shy with those questions, you know? That's what we're all about today. And let's see. Larry Book says someone asked for book recommendations. Well, here's one. If you want to learn more about the Cedar Mountain Formation, where shade is at a premium. Oh man, look at that cloud. Shading, that's coming this way. Oh, it's gonna be nice. If you're interested to learn about these rocks that we're digging in and the fossils that we're finding, this is the best book you can get on the subject, and it is new. It just came out last year by Krista Sadler, and some of us are actually in this book. Papa Jim Kirkland, Utah State paleontologist, is he was the main scientific consultant on this book. There he is there. We'll see Jim next week. Yeah. Dawn shows up in here a bunch of times. And I show up in here too, in the text and in a little picture as well. So I was here kind of toward the tail end of Krista's work on this book. But there's a photo of us walking back from the site, back to camp a few years ago. This is probably 2023. And there's me right there with my shorts. Yeah. But let's see. Anduza Danny, 179, 191. There we go. Yeah. Paleontology for all, citizen science and social media. That's what we're doing right now. Wow, wow, wow. Yeah. Danny Anduza says he's always been interested in dinosaurs, grew up in the Bay Area, etc. If you want to read more, get yourself this book. Yeah. All about the Cedar Mountain Formation. Beautiful book, by the way. Superb illustrations. Excellent writing. Krista is a brilliant writer. She really has a knack for distilling these complicated concepts down so they're easy to understand. And there's tons and tons of visuals in here. So if you want to have a better concept of the work that we're doing out here, get yourself that book. Other books that I could recommend. Actually, I was just talking about this last night or the night before with the crew. Anytime I have like a young person who says, you know, I want to be a paleontologist, there's one book that I recommend to them by Michael Novacek, In Search of Dinosaurs and Ancient Mammals from Montana to Mongolia. Time Traveler. Novacek, Novacek. So he's a paleontologist at the American Museum of Natural History in New York. And the book is like an autobiography of his life in the field. So out finding and excavating fossils, collecting data. It's full of all kinds of crazy adventures and really solid science. So it almost reads kind of like an adventure novel, but it's all true. And he interweaves these scientific concepts into it. So as you're reading, you kind of don't even realize how much you're learning. So I'd highly recommend that book, Time Traveler. Yeah. And Relo Rolo, how are you doing? Welcome on. Internet Explorer says, do you think late-stage science, what do you mean, is suffering from widespread contamination of purpose where it's about making projects to get more money from grants that you can... No, I think, if anything, the problem with science right now, funding disappearing. Start with in paleontology, and it's getting worse. The real problem is that they don't appreciate, you know, I think it's in power, this idea that there is reality. Not. I think it kind of runs counter to what they would like to sell to people, you know? With science right now is we don't have enough resources, you know? Yeah, science is, in the US especially, it's just being strangled right now. That's the real problem. Anywho. Yeah. And tricked into learning how to hair this file machine, yeah. And sorry if I don't think it's the cable, I think it's the, you know, we're using satellite internet right now. Sometimes it's a little spotty. So I think that's probably what's going on at the moment. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and yeah. If you want to repeat yourself in the last point about science funding. Okay. So the question was, do you think there's a big problem with science right now where it's all about just getting grant funding? And no, the problem is there's just not really much funding at all, and people have to fight over it in science. Especially here in the US. Science funding is just being gutted in the United States. I have so many friends and colleagues who are being, you know, they've worked their entire lives to be able to be in a position where they can do science, you know? They've worked their entire lives to be able to get into a school where they can join a program where they can conduct experiments and drive science forward, and that's like their passion in life. They want to make the world a better place, and now those dreams are shattered because funding is just being cut across the board. Science is one of these things that's extremely inexpensive compared to the benefits that we get from it as a society, but as I was saying earlier, maybe before it got cut off, many of the people with wealth and power in society hate the idea of science. This idea that there is a way of actually testing ideas and figuring out what's true and what's not, and calling out nonsense for what it is. You know, what science is supposed to do. Figuring out what's true. A lot of people are really scared of that idea. People with power and influence and money. And I think there's like a concerted effort to try and defund science, try and strangle it in the crib, and that's what's being done right now in the US, especially. That's the real problem that science is facing right now. So this idea that like, oh, well, you know, scientists are all greedy and they just want grant money. Are we greedy? We're spending like a few $1,000s to be out here for the better part of a month excavating fossils in 110-degree heat. And like, we are glad to do it. We're incredibly grateful for this opportunity. Most of us here are volunteering. Like, scientists, nobody becomes a scientist to get rich. It's not a question of greed or anything like that. And science is extraordinarily poorly funded compared to the benefits that society gets from science. So, no, the real problem is that science is not funded well enough. That's my opinion. If that makes sense. Yeah. And Internet Explorer says, so science threatens the status quo? Absolutely, yes. So if the status quo benefits those in power the most, why allow the threat to exist? I think it's a lack of understanding. A lot of the people who are in charge of things don't actually know how things work. You know, I'm not talking about some like grand nefarious conspiracy, some shadowy cabal of, you know, omnipotent, omniscient figures. It's like a lot of the people in charge, not very bright, and they don't really know how things work, and they don't understand science. You see this a lot with like US government officials, like senators and representatives. I'm sorry to get a little political about this, but like you hear this sometimes where it's like, oh, why are they spending $20,000 to, you know, to study Gila monster venom? That's all. I don't understand that. That must be a waste. It's like, well, it's a cliche at this point, but like studying Gila monster venom is what has allowed us to, when I say us, I mean like people who produce these things, scientists, you know, to produce things like Ozempic, like weight loss drugs. That's been like a multi-billion-dollar industry. Just basic research where it's like, hey, let's study and see what it does, you know? You never know what kinds of benefits you're going to accrue from this sort of thing, but I don't know. I think part of it too is a lot of folks in power, they kind of realize deep down that they're not very bright, and they feel threatened by the idea of scientists, people who are experts in things. They hate that idea, and they want to knock those scientists down a peg. And what better way to do that than by defunding science? I do think some of it is personal like that, you know? But again, this is my opinion. I'm broadcasting here. This is my channel. This is not the opinion of the Utah Geological Survey or the crew. This is me, Danny Anthusa, saying this. So if you're going to get mad at anybody, get mad at me. I want to make that very clear. You know, flashing disclaimer. My opinions only. But yeah. Real says Europe is welcoming U.S. defunded scientists at the moment. I mean, not as much as they should be. There's been a lot of science funding cuts in Europe as well. It's a big problem. And like scientists in Europe are already, they have to compete with each other for dwindling resources. And now there's this influx of American scientists trying to come over. Like it's kind of bad for everybody, you know? Europe definitely will benefit from that increased competition, like more so than the U.S. will. Like there is in the United States. But really, it seems like the country that might be benefiting the most right now is China, because they're pouring huge resources into scientific work. We see this in dinosaur paleontology too, where like there are way more dinosaurs this year, new dinosaurs that have been published out of China than out of the US. I think we have 1 so far in 2026. China, I think, has 7. And the center of dinosaur paleontology is very rapidly shifting toward China. I think they'll surpass the US pretty soon, if they haven't already, you know? So it goes, you know, you defund science and your society will falter. Anywho, yeah. But yeah. And there you go. Kaklin Zerf says, speaking of the defunding of science, one thing that hit the news recently is that the Netherlands alone has just given academic asylum to 29 prominent U.S. scientists. I read an interview with one of them, an astronomer. She's had to take a decrease in pay, but she took it in stride. She doesn't want to go back. I understand that. And, like, we've got members of the crew who are like, I don't know if I want to stay in the U.S. if things can... And, like, I can't blame them, you know? I love the United States. This is where I was born and raised, and this is where all the fossils that I've studied are. I don't want to leave, but maybe in the future that's going to be necessary if things continue to go badly. But that said, we don't have to take this lying down, you know? I, for one, am going to strongly advocate for an increase in science funding, for bigger emphasis on science education in the United States. I want people to science and to want to grow up to be scientists. I want people to be able to share in that we feel as scientists when we're excavating these fossils, when we're doing science, when we're working in the field or in the lab or in the museum or whatever. We do this because we're passionate about it and we love it, and I want to share that with everybody that I can. So I'm trying to do my part to improve things a little bit, you know, to whatever extent I can. I want to advocate for science and try and make the world a better place. So that's where I'm at. Also, I'm pretty thirsty. Let's go get some water. Let's see. And we'll see, Mothproof KT. I'm not sure. I don't know. Not to get too political here, but like, if there were any resistance at all, what political aisle, the other party in the U.S. to the people currently in power, then they wouldn't have been in power again. So, I don't know. It's an issue. But I'm going to steer the conversation elsewhere right now, if you don't mind. We did get a question from Emily earlier that I breezed past. That question is, what are the oldest dinosaurs? And this book actually deals with that a little bit, I think. Let's take a look. One of the cool things that Krista does in her books is she provides a good amount of background information so you can really appreciate the new cutting edge stuff. So, here we go. Here's just like a little intro. What are dinosaurs? And why is Cedar Mountain Formation? Paleontology's nuts and bolts. Rocks, fossils, and science. Let's go back to the beginning of the age of dinosaurs. Here is really short distillation of the history of our planet Earth. Earth forms about 4.6 billion years ago. For a long time there is no life on Earth, and then there is, and it's mostly unicellular, little bacterium-like things. I'm grossly oversimplifying here, but bear with me. Go through the Proterozoic, and then into the Phanerozoic. This is the age of visible life. Paleozoic, Mesozoic, Cenozoic, and then today, that black line right there. Dinosaurs ruled the Earth for much of the Mesozoic era here. So here's the Mesozoic, so we go, there's the Mesozoic, Triassic, Jurassic, Cretaceous periods. Dinosaurs first evolved in the Triassic. We're trying to figure out exactly when, but it's about 240 million years ago, we think. So like, about a third of the way through the Triassic, more or less. And the very first dinosaurs all kind of looked similar, which makes sense because, well, with any group of organisms that are related to each other, they have to have one ancestor. And so the very first dinosaurs, we don't have a picture here, but they would have looked like a cross between this guy and this guy. Raptor, and Pangea, and Eodromius, and critters like that. Hold on a sec, let me grab this. Here. So, dinosaurs on this family tree begin right here. Dinosaur would have looked like. Small, walked on two legs, had little hands that may have been able to grasp objects, a little toothy mouth. It's probably mostly ate some plants too. From this original dinosaur, all of these other dinosaurs evolved throughout the next 180 almost million years. So the long-necked plant-eating sauropods, the horned ceratopsians, big two-legged theropods like T-Rex, all evolved from a little guy who looked like that. More like other things. By the way, this is living things are classified according to what they evolved from. So when we as scientists, two critters are related to each other, we mean that in the same way that you're related to your siblings or your cousins or your second or third cousins. Living things are related to each other as well, different species. So that's why dinosaurs begin here. Everything that evolves from this ancestor is a dinosaur by definition. That's why birds are dinosaurs. It's because we know they evolved from theropods with feathers. So we can trace their ancestry back to that first dinosaur. They are dinosaurs. That's why pterosaurs, the flying reptiles, are not dinosaurs. Nor are the mosasaurs, or the ichthyosaurs, or the plesiosaurs, or the turtles for that matter. None of them are dinosaurs. Closely related to dinosaurs, like pterosaurs are. Pterosaurs and dinosaurs share a common ancestor. But these guys are like cousins to the dinosaurs, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? I feel like I talk about this every stream, but it's important. And I feel like if more people understood that, then the world would be a lot less mysterious to them. Living things are related, and living things change. That's evolution. Things don't stay the same. Things change. Lineages of organisms change via natural selection and other forces too. New species and some lineages die out, they go extinct, and others rise to take their place. That's the story of the history of life on Earth. That's the reason why we have this beautiful diversity of life on our planet. From bacteria to blue whales, we can trace all these creatures back to what we think is a single common ancestor, about 3 or 4. So really all creatures on our planet are figuring this out, this grand I think it's one of the human beings to figure out that we and every other critter on this earth is related. And we're part of that. Here digging up these fossils, you know? Yeah. And Rhacodactylus, how are you doing? Welcome, welcome. I hope things are good, Reiko. Speaking of scientists, thanks for joining us. I hope you're having a good day. And Spain wins? Okay, nice. Oh, good for them. There's some cool dinosaurs from Spain. Yeah. In a break between games. Oh, gotcha, Reiko. Well, if anybody wants to go who actually on Twitch, Dactylus. He mostly does speed runs of games, but on Wednesdays and now Thursdays he does science as a. It's always so much fun talking with Reiko. He specializes in why people believe weird things. Everything from like internet rumors and hoaxes, wacko conspiracy theories and stuff like that. People end up believing things that are false. Like very passionately believing these things sometimes. Or at least claiming to believe them passionately. As a cognitive scientist, that's Reiko's jam. That's what he studies. That's what his PhD is on. And on Wednesdays and Thursdays now, he talks about that. So go check him out. Yeah, some long fundraising effort for Trans Lifeline. Oh, very cool, Rhacodactylus. Nice. That's awesome. I'm a weirdo who studies other weirdos. Who's weirder, the weirdo or the weirdo who studies them? I like that, Reiko. He's also very self-deprecating in a charming way, if you can't tell by his chat messages there. So go check him out. Reiko, we got to do a crossover at some point, maybe in person this fall, if and when I'm back from I will be back from the field at some point. Just do a crossover sometime if you think that'd be fun. I think that would be neat. Oh, thank you, Reiko. Likewise, you are a delight to chat with. Oh, you. Yeah. Yeah. But where were we? Oh, yeah. I was waxing poetical about the interrelatedness of all living things on Earth and how what a joy and a privilege it is to be able to study that and to share it with you via the magic of Twitch. I'm pretty lucky. Oh, you're in Utah? Oh, thank you, Reiko. Yeah. I forget sometimes. But yeah, I'm out here in Utah in the desert. It's very hot. I'm going to drink some more water. Should we set up like a hydration counter for these fields? Give the cat counter for when I'm back. Yeah. Oh. It might be helpful to know how many times I drink water over the course of 3 hours while I'm streaming out here in the field. Oh, let's check on the temperature, by the way. Let's see. Current temperature is, drum roll please, 110.8 in the very nice. 11% humidity. Lovely. A beautiful, beautiful day in Utah. Degrees Fahrenheit. That's something like 45 degrees Celsius. I need to drink some water before I start doing more bad accents. There we go. That's better. And Quarry Madness begins. It's been going, Rushwing. It's a daily counter. Yeah, sure, Claire. If you like that idea, not to generate too much work for you, but that might be fun. Dr. Hub says, but it's a dry heat. That's why you got to drink more water. Yeah. No, it is nice. Like, it's funny. You don't even notice that you're sweating out here, because it just like instantly evaporates, which I guess is what it's supposed to do, huh? Evaporative cooling. Yeah. Yeah. Ah, nice. Yeah. Lovely. Sometimes it's the simple things, you know? Ooh. Nice. And kind of exactly Macy Fate, yeah. I was thinking about that earlier today. Dry heat versus a humid heat. I wonder if there's a name for like an argument or a claim that sounds very convincing, but it's exactly backwards. Like, oh, well, you know, actually, it's better when there's 100% humidity because that means your body loses less water. So you don't get as dehydrated. So actually, it's better than a dry heat. Like, no, that's completely wrong, but you could say it in such a way that makes it sound convincing. Yeah. An oven's a dry heat. It is, Striker, yes. At least it's supposed to be. Just disinformation. There you go, Cozy Kestrel. I guess so, yeah. The difference between disinformation and misinformation. He might be playing the game again, but I feel like disinformation, that active intent to deceive, whereas misinformation press coverage, but they were really frustrated in that all of the picture articles are like, hey, here's a bunch of people having a fun day at the beach, or here's people swimming in the Seine in Paris or whatever. And it's like they're making a deadly heat wave look like it's fun. And like they're not really, media wasn't doing the best job of really portraying degree of ageism in there too, where it's like, well, you know, it's not that bad because, you know, all the people. So he really, it seems like that's genuinely some people's attitude, and that's really troubling. So, anywho, yeah, and hang on, did the camera cut out? What happened? I had a red icon for a second. I'm not sure what that means. Are we back? It may have overheated for a second or something. I'm not sure. I will work to keep the encoder out of the sun. Yeah. Sorry. I'm gonna walk backwards to keep this out of the sun. And maybe we'll go stand in the shade for a minute. I think that'll be good for the encoder, and it'll be good for... This is my... Takes the audio and video from the camera and in such a way that it can be... I'm gonna go like this. Shade this from the sun. What is the temperature now? Oh yeah, 108. Here. Was this unexpected that Spain would win? Did you?
Not that surprised. I think they were definitely the better team.
Yeah.
I think if Argentina had won, it would
have been a major upset.
Would have been a major upset.
Interesting.
Considering how Spain were playing.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. So I'm not too disappointed. I think I'm happy with the result. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Let's turn it around for the World Cup of Fossils. Dinosaurs in particular. Who do you think takes home the trophy? Argentina or Spain? I think Argentina would. Yeah.
Hard to beat that for any country, really.
Argentina. Described from any country in the world. But Spain has a growing number too. Jurassic stuff and early Cretaceous stuff. A lot of stuff that's almost equivalent to what we have here in Utah. They have in Spain and Portugal and the Iberian Peninsula. So, yeah. Linnea says, call it the Dolings Bowl, if you will, competition. Oh boy. Here. What's the thermometer doing? I think the thermometer may...
The thermometer's overheated?
Yeah, that's not a good sign, is it? What's it doing? Is it blinking?
Yeah, it's got 106.
Oh, okay. It was blinking for a second. Oh, maybe that's just the time of the day that it resets? I don't know.
Let's hope that's what it is.
Yeah. It's not a good sign when the thermometer starts to melt. Yeah. Well, we've got about half an hour left here. I'm gonna go get some more water. Let's check on how our solar battery is doing. I'd be a little bit worried about it overheating too. But Let's see. %, not too shabby. Excellent. Let's go see. Ugh. Yeah. And purples and greens for a second. It happens. I think it might be a satellite thing or good activity thing. I'm not sure. It might be the encoder overheating too. I don't know. Fully charged? Excellent. Okay. More than fully charged. Uh-oh. Is it swelling?
Yeah, it's about to blow up.
It's been there since like 12. So.
Anywho, good stuff. If you've got any other questions, now's the time to ask. If any of you happen to be new here, by the way, welcome to Paleontologizing. I'm trying to escape from the sun a little bit out here in eastern Utah, near the town of Moab. I'm working with the Utah Geological Survey. And the crew is in the quarry right now, digging up hopefully several new species of iguana and a new encounter. We just started a few days ago, so we're still trying to get down to the bone layer today, and hopefully we'll really be in the bone zone in earnest, just finding fossils left and right. We're still not quite there yet. And Peanut Butter Princess says, I'm not jealous of the heat, but I wish I could be there helping dig something up. Yeah, the heat definitely is something, you know? But, it's really nice to be out here, you know? There's no other way I'd rather be spending 3 weeks of my summer than being out here with the crew and excavating. It's pretty wild. It's pretty cool. Yeah. Pre-breakfast banana, how are you to know? Would you want to be a fossil that gets uncovered millions of years from now? I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't know it if I were. I think, as far as fossils go, and my feelings around fossils, I'd much prefer to excavate fossils than to be one. Yeah. That being said, like, if I live a happy, fulfilled life where I get to do cool things and make the world a better place, and then one day I do become a fossil, I wouldn't complain about that, you know? Certainly not. But it's honestly not something I think about all that often. Ugh. Like, I work with fossils enough that I don't really have that much of a desire to become one. I hope that's fair. Let's see here. And there you go. Magos Informaticus, how are you doing? They want to know, what kind of environment was this place like when the animals you looked for lived here? So that's an excellent question. These rocks are about 142 million years old, give or take. And at that time, this was not a desert. And it was not 5,000 feet in elevation or 4,000 or whatever we're at here. More low, you know, we're not at sea level here, but it was also not high altitude. Much wetter than this current desert environment here, where today we have, you know, sand and rocks and mudstone. Back when these dinosaurs This environment would have been swampy kind of wetland. Mudstone here. So this is super organic rich. There's not like a whole lot of organic crud in there, but it is mudstone. And mudstone is formed when mud hardens over time. It turns to stone. So this is sedimentary rock. It's made from other kinds of rock that were eroded and then they turned to sediment and were later deposited. So mudstone here shows that this is a really swampy environment. And the animals themselves also show that this is a swampy environment. We've got various kinds of dinosaurs, but also turtles and crocodiles, or crocodile relatives. Crocs, I'll call them. We had turtles and crocs at this time, swimming around, doing their thing, living their lives in this wet, humid environment. The plants here match that signal too. Or we've got plant roots from this thing called Tempskia. I'll show you a picture. This really weird ferny thing related to modern ferns. There we go. Tempskia. And we have roots from these that go out horizontally. So if you know much about plants, you know that plants that live in desert environments often have roots that go down pretty deep because they're trying to reach any water that might be in the substrate. The roots from these guys seem to mostly go out horizontally. So they're living sometimes in standing water, we think. Again, pretty swampy environment. And then here is kind of a who's who of different dinosaurs in this environment. You have sauropods, ornithopods, theropods, thyreophorans, just a whole wealth of different dinosaurs. They don't seem to be desert adapted. Evidence living in a swampy environment because they got. So just over there, behind the bicycle, is the quarry where Mierosaurus was discovered. Mierosaurus is going down into the substrate. So we can tell that this animal probably got in the mud, and its bones were preserved in situ, like in place. So its legs were articulate, in life position, going more or less straight down into the ground. And you see this today with like modern stuff. Sometimes a cow will get stuck in a mud pit and then she'll eventually just die there because she can't move. That seems to be what happened with this sauropod. May have taken like weeks to die. But yeah, again, speaks to this idea that this was a swamp, essentially. But we've got an abundance of dinosaur fossils from here. And pretty productive environment, you know? Like this was a good place to be a dinosaur, even if some of your neighbors do get stuck every once in a while. And it's like, as we're digging, find some turtle pieces. It's neat to be able to pick up different 140 million years ago. And you can just tell that at a glance. We don't have crocodiles walking around in this environment. We don't have freshwater turtles, you know, traipsing around. It's a desert now. Didn't used to be. Yeah. And Jim, how are you doing, Jim? Welcome, welcome. Jim says, I need to explain to you the distinct morphology of Tempskia. I know a little about that. You out here, Jim. But I think I printed one of Tidwell's papers on Tempskia, and I have that here. Let's see. Bingo. Species of Cretaceous tree fern Tempskia from Utah by William Tidwell and Naomi Herbert. So Tempskia, here's some the fossils. Here's cross sections showing some of the like cellular structure. So Tempsky is really neat in that, as I understand it, the roots mostly go out horizontally, fairly shallow, and then unlike a modern tree fern where you have the trunk that goes up and then you have the crown with the fronds that come out of the top, with Tempsky, it's very different. We're just with these fronds that grow out sideways out of the trunk, and the trunk also is kind of made up of like the roots sort of go up too. It's really weird and interesting. I'm sure Jim could explain this better than I could, but it's a really special, interesting kind of plant. It's really weird. Like the trunk is almost a pseudo trunk. It's like the roots also go up, and then the fronds come out laterally off of that. Just bizarre. Yeah. Really, really neat. The tree ferns today are a thing, and this is way different from those. Tree ferns today, you know, it looks kind of like a palm tree. Trunk, and then fronds off the top. These guys are different. So yeah, good stuff. And Emily asked, do you keep a fossil or dig journal? I don't personally do that. Some people do keep a journal, like a personal one. I don't really keep a personal journal out here. It would kind of just be too much work with all the streaming and everything too. Consider this my video journal. And I can go back and look at the recordings, or anybody can go back and look at the recordings on YouTube if they'd like to. They'll be there for as long as YouTube is a thing. But we keep a lot of detailed notes here at the site. We've got a map, and we've got notes associated with that. Let's see if we can take a peek at that real quick. Let's see. Here, Don, can I show the map real quick?
Sure.
Just for fun? Yeah, it's fun. Oh, I love data. Yeah. Well, here we go. We don't have too much on here yet. In fact, no specimens logged yet. Start of 2026 season.
This is going to be 681.
Oh, there we go. Nice. Excellent, yeah. So we got our first specimen collected.
It was nice of us to end off on 680, so it
yeah.
Start at the top of the new show.
Oh. Neat and tidy. 2010. Well done. Yeah. The specimens that get collected like that get numbered. Here's their coordinates on the map, and then here is the map. So we have a item here that we use in order to be able to, it's kind of like Battleship, you know, coordinate system. So we go meter by meter. You see there, under Dawn, there's that pink tape right there. There we go, yeah. So that corresponds to a certain number, and then we go 1 meter, and there's the next number, 56 east, 30 north. Again, it's like Battleship. And this, you know, helps us log where each of these different specimens come from. So Don was talking the quarry map for one of the papers you're working on. It's really complicated to do, right? How long did that take?
Time-consuming.
Time-consuming, okay. Tedious rather than
tedious, yeah.
Difficult, I suppose.
Well, I worked on it on and off for about 8 months.
8 months? Holy cow!
I started last September, and I got it finished up in April for Jim. But
yeah.
I mean,
nice.
I would go in fits and starts. And do a bunch of
for sure, just a little bit at a time. But I'll ask this question again later in the summer when we're doing more mapping, but just really briefly, why is it important to log where each of these specimens come from? Like, why is it important to do a map?
Well, for example, the one I did for Jim was over there where he's naming the new ankylosaur. So we had a pelvis, we had a brain case, we have all the osteoderms, various bones.
Yeah.
So that way you can see how they were distributed.
Yeah.
You know, because these guys have died and fallen apart, so we got all these pieces. So by keeping the map, we know, like, oh yeah, these were all found, you know, in this area. So it appears like that one big animal died and fell apart and distributed around that small area.
Gotcha, yeah.
So that we can just say, yeah, we think all these...
They came from the same place.
Came from the same place, and maybe...
So if we're claiming that they're from the same animal, it's like we're showing our work, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so, we know we had more than one ankylosaur in there, but, our hypothesis is that a lot of the plates and osteoderms from in that area are all from the same animal.
Yeah.
So we know there was another ankylosaur brain case that was actually found over here. So it's a ways away. So
nice. Okay.
But at least we, if we didn't have a map, we'd be like, oh, maybe they came from.
If you don't have a map, these are all from the same critters. Like,
yeah,
no, we can actually show.
We want to know the kind of the position and orientation.
Yeah.
Of the bones.
Yeah, makes sense. Thanks, Tom. Yeah, I mean, part of it is just basic documentation. Where don't just take our word for us. Here's the actual map. Oh, you're good, Chemo. Oh, thanks. Also, of where each of the bones comes from. That can help us determine things about the site, like, well, if this is a site where things are deposited by flowing water, we could sometimes tell the direction of flow. So I talked about this a good deal last September with Michael Chiappone, taphonomy, studying be leaving information on the table, So for example, say one of the skull bones looks really weird. It's all jagged. It's interesting. Must mean we got an instant chewed on by another animal, which might give you some false morphology there. Maybe it looks all jagged because somebody was biting it, leaving tooth marks, just creating like a weird shape, stuff like that. Or say, for instance, you're working at a site like this, and you notice that all of the long bones, in a certain direction, like the water, say there's a river flowing through and it's carrying these bones and it's turning some of them, they're all turned in the same direction. That can be your indicator of that's the direction of flow. So if you're maybe missing an important little bone, well, maybe you look for it downstream. So you look where all the other bones are pointing, and you go and you dig in that area, and maybe you'll find it. Stuff like this. There's a million different reasons why a quarry map is important to do. Those are just a couple. I hope that makes sense. And I saw Murph there in the chat. How you doing, Murph? I hope you're having an excellent day. Good to see you as always. Thank you for your continued support. Sedswo says, documentation, my only weakness. There you go. And Pre-Breakfast Banana asks, could a dog run off with a giant dinosaur bone, or would it crumble? The dog would not be able to get it out of the ground, because that's one of the things you'll be seeing as we continue over the next couple weeks. Getting these fossils, they're incredibly crumbly, so getting them out of the ground in one piece is... It could be a complicated and time-consuming process. That's why we build a plaster jacket around these things. It's like a protective cocoon that keeps everything in place so it doesn't crumble as we excavate. It's almost kind of like making a cast on a broken bone. Like if you break your arm or leg, put a cast around it, helps the bone, helps it heal properly so it doesn't heal crooked. You don't end up with a big kink in your tibia or whatever. We do the same thing with the bone from literally just crumbling as we excavate it. So this is a process I'll show you in detail as we get more bones over the next couple weeks. And like I was saying earlier, some sites the bones are beautifully preserved and they're much harder than the surrounding rock. Morrison Formation, that's the rocks that are immediately... There's actually a few little bits of Morrison. That's where some of your favorite dinosaurs are from, like Stegosaurus, Allosaurus, Diplodocus, Brachiosaurus, aka Brontosaurus. They're from the Morrison. The Morrison Formation is kind of famous for having those dinosaurs and for having bones that are they're really strong. Often they're preserved, like the color is really dark. They're almost like jet black sometimes. They tend to be really resilient. Just oftentimes you get really good preservation in the Morrison. And so it's the exception to the rule, but sometimes you can just kind of take those bones right out of the ground without them crumbling. And there's a famous place in Wyoming called Bone Cabin Quarry. And the story goes that when early American paleontologists were exploring in that area, they found a cabin that a shepherd had built, or sheep herder. He was stacking up these weird rocks to make a cabin because there weren't any trees around there. So he's trying to help there for himself in the winter. He's literally picking up dinosaur bones without really knowing what they were. Bones from the Morrison Formation, nice and solid. And he built himself a little shelter, a little cabin out of it. And so the dinosaur quarry that was established nearby got called Bone Cabin Quarry after the bone. Or very crumbly. The Morrison is really special in that they tend to be really solid, and it just has to do with like how these things were preserved in the first place. And in some cases they're radioactive too, because there was uranium in the groundwater. It seeped into those bones, and the radiation is kind of... Again, that's rare too. It's not a common thing. Yeah. And Murph says, did all these critters you're finding get in a river crossing or unexpected flood event, or just build up out of unlucky individuals year after year? They may have even been lucky individuals. I don't know. This is probably an attritional thing. Or like, this is just like kind of a lowland, boggy, swampy kind of environment, like a marsh. Dinosaurs were walking around, living their best lives, and some of them would die, and they just slowly accumulate over time. That's what we think is going on here at Jim's place. Just like at Ethan's bathtub right over there, where I've been digging for years here. That's 4 years. Moved this here. So, literally a stone's throw away. Like, I could throw a stone from over there and hit the shade carpets. But it's possible. And, wampa, more common freshwater deposition environments. So are marine or terrestrial strata more common? That's a good question. There's tons of fossils that are being, like bones that are being deposited at the bottom of the ocean and probably fossilized, and we'll just never find them because they're at the bottom of the ocean. So that's really common. It's probably more common than preservation, because on land you have more erosional environments. Like this today, this valley is what we call nothing's really getting buried out here. If you're an animal and you keel over here, like, not gonna happen. Because being laid down, sediment isn't being deposited, it's being eroded away, which is why it's such a does some of the digging for us at the beginning. And on land, you get a lot of erosional environments. In the ocean, I think it's much more common for it to be depositional. Marine fossils are probably much more common, but we don't usually have a chance to get to them. When we have fossils of ocean animals, ocean water that flooded the land in some way. So like in the late Cretaceous, there was big sea levels rose, and low-lying areas that are on the continental crust, they were underneath a shallow ocean at the time. And then later dropped, and all of those ocean fossils, now they're on dry land. So that's why you find but it used to be underwater. When sea levels rose during the Cretaceous, the whole interior of the continent was a lot more low-lying, and that flooded. We call that the Western Interior Seaway. So for a good, you know, couple dozen million years, I think in under seawater is much more common than like on land. On land, you often have to have fresh environments, lakes, rivers, in order to have things get buried and fossilized. That's just not as common as when everything's covered by water, like under the ocean. Does that make sense? Oof, water. Speaking of water, let's drink some. Yeah. From a terrestrial environment. So when I say terrestrial, I mean non-ocean. You get terrestrial environment fossils. They're usually from rivers or lakes and stuff, but sometimes they're from like shifting sand dunes. You know, the move, they can bury stuff, and then later on that can turn to sandstone when it compacts, and then you get fossils preserved in sandstone where, you know, water wasn't, they didn't get buried by waterborne sediment. Paleosols can be similar, where it's like, here's an area where there was a bunch of soil at the time, and then over time more and more soil built up, and then eventually there was enough that built up over it that the stuff at the bottom just gets compacted down and turns into rock. And that's a paleosol, an ancient soil. So some of our burrowing dinosaurs we think are from paleosols. Like, this is a pretty stable landscape. It's not like it's at the bottom of a river or a lake or anything. It's just, here's a place with a lot of soil for a long time, and dinosaurs built burrows there and then got buried, and yeah. Anywho. And hang on, did the reception go wonky for a second? It does that sometimes. Yeah. It's good now? Okay. I may have also bumped the cable, but I'm touching it right now. Hopefully that doesn't also do it. Run a little experiment here. Are we getting the wonky signal thing going on now? As I'm touching the cable? It might just be the heat or the satellites or something. Still good? Okay, cool. Yeah, and then what else did we have a question about? Shoot. Oh, it sounds quiet in the quarry. Let's go walk around in there. Let's see what's up. We've only got a few minutes left before we're wrapping up anyway. Let's go take a look. Maybe we'll do Zenith and Nadir. That's always. Oh, so quiet. Nice. Congrats, Spain, I guess.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna complain that it's over. All that copyrighted music. Anyway, we're almost ready to wrap up here, but let's check in with everybody. How you doing, Jameson?
I still have a lot more rock to go.
Yeah. No, you're making good progress, though.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's alright.
What was like one deep hole is now kind of turned into two, or one much wider hole? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well done. It's slow going, but it won't feel as slow going when you start finding stuff, which will be soon.
I'm excited to get all of this out of here.
Yeah.
Because then I'll have a giant thing to work on.
Yeah.
Like Laura does.
Nice. Yeah.
I'm jealous of Laura.
Yeah. Well, you'll get there too. Also, you know, the beds are tilting in this direction, so you have a little bit more rock to dig through than she does, I think.
Oh my god.
So, yeah. This whole thing is like kind of sloping in this direction.
Yeah.
So like, yeah.
Okay, well,
Yeah. Here.
at least I'll have an even surface to dig on.
There you go.
Like this.
Yeah. Here, maybe we'll do like high, low, or zenith and nadir. What was your high point of the day? Your favorite part?
Of today?
Yeah.
And
then your nadir, lowest point.
Waking, I went to bed at like 1.
Yeah.
I wake up at 7:30.
That was your low point?
That was my low point, waking up.
Fair.
I mean, looking at Henry's pelvic bone was cool.
Yeah. The dinosaur pelvic bone. That sounded weird.
No, it's more like it's probably not a pelvic bone.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Cool. We'll go take a look at it in a minute. Yeah.
We've already changed our mind.
Yeah.
I haven't done a whole lot. I've just been digging, so
Fair.
there wasn't really a high.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh no, my mom bringing cupcakes.
There you go.
That was
yeah,
high,
that was
yes.
really excellent. That might be my high point too.
My reaction was
Yeah.
My second high was looking at Henry's
Nice.
bone over there.
That's your zenith.
Yes,
high
exactly.
point. All right. All right. Nicely done over here.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Beautiful little pedestal here. See, this is how it's done, Chad. Excellent. Yeah. Soon we'll have dozens of these cropping up all over the quarry like mushrooms. Just like tons of pedestals with bones on them. That one over there too. Yeah. Laura, zenith and nadir for today.
Ooh,
And anybody can pass if they want to as well. No hard feelings.
I have no idea. I mean, Emily bringing strawberries and cupcakes was, and ice was pretty peak. Low point?
Messi not winning?
Probably just me lying down on rubble.
Fair. Yeah.
Getting lots of little indents in my elbows and knees.
We get interesting patterns on our skin lying down on these rocks.
I don't know if it is appropriate for your chat, but I'm like anemic. When we went to the RV park to get showers yesterday, I saw in the mirror and across like my
Just a big bruise?
seat area. No, not a big bruise. Just lots of like this shaped bruises, just like.
Oh man, yeah. The perils of fieldwork. Yeah. That's okay to share. That's not necessarily TMI.
I hope that was put in a.
It was.
a
You said it in a way
PG-13
that made it, perfectly
Across my
acceptable. Eloquent. Raheem, how about you? High point, low point, zenith and nadir for today.
Zenith is probably Jameson's mum.
Yeah.
The low point was definitely that boring match that I just watched.
Oh really?
It was.
Oh.
Nothing really happened.
Yeah.
Like.
Do better, FIFA. What are we doing here? You know?
That's what you get.
Yeah.
If you're gonna rig it, at least make it
exciting.
Yeah, rig it to like 10-7.
Yeah.
With the winning 3 in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm sure the third place game was fun to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, the score was like 4-6.
Oh wow, who was that?
France and England.
England beat France. Yeah.
Oh, okay, nice.
We beat France 6-4 yesterday. So.
All right.
Yeah.
Well done.
That was the true final. That was.
Yeah.
There you go.
This was just some friendly match. That was.
That was the one that mattered.
Yeah.
Nice. Well said. Oh, and Jim in the chat says we'll have more bones lower, so there you have it from Jim. Take heart, Jameson. You will find more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He can help me when he gets here.
There you go. Yeah. That actually might be a really good spot for Jim over there if he wants to dig. Are there two? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, eventually, like all of these spots will converge.
Yeah, and I'll be like one level.
Exactly. Yeah.
Eventually.
Yeah. Yeah, Crystal. If you care to answer, you don't have to. You can pass. But high point, low point for today.
I'm with everybody else. The high point was definitely Emily with the ice and cupcakes.
Yes.
The low point was everything else where I didn't find bones.
Yeah.
That's definitely my low point.
Yeah. Which implies that when you do start finding bones, that's going to be your high point
There
like
you
the whole
go.
day. Yes. Excellent. Cool.
I think that's how it's supposed to work.
I think it pretty much is. Yeah. Yeah. Chemo, high point, low point for today.
High point, probably finding the first bone of
nice
expedition for me at least.
Uh-huh.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
Low point, I'll say I'm with Raheem on this one. That match kind of sucked.
Fair. Okay. Well, I'm sorry, guys. I gave you the speaker for this. I'm sorry it wasn't better. I feel partly responsible.
Yeah.
You know?
I feel like I've just drained your battery for nothing.
Recharge it. That one up there is running at 100% right now, so we're good. No shortage of solar power here, fortunately. Yeah. That's the bright part of, well, no pun intended, of having too much sun and just it being too hot is we have a surfeit of solar energy for charging stuff, so that's nice. Yeah.
Sorry.
How dare you?
Kai, high point, low point for today.
Ooh, I did find 2 little tiny teeth this morning. That was
super cool, yeah.
That was pretty cool.
One of them was like a beautiful dromaeosaur tooth. Yeah, really nice.
And I also just maybe an hour ago found that thing. So
nice. Okay.
Yeah, lovely. See if it goes further in.
If it plunges, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Low point hasn't happened yet, but I gotta go home tonight.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Dude, it's like that.
And we start to see you go, but we'll be excited when you get back.
Yeah.
What was
that?
We won't tell your wife you said that.
She's in the chat, just
That's
kidding.
kind of what I was trying to like get it from the side.
Yeah, delete the VOD, delete the VOD.
Not going home is the low point. It's leaving us.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'm looking forward to going home, but not looking forward to leaving.
Yeah. Getting a shower, sitting in the air conditioning.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Think of us while we're baking out here.
Yes.
Yeah. Nice.
If I leave my tent, you guys better not do anything.
No problems.
Henry, high point, low point for today. Zenith and Nadir.
Let's see. 2 high points.
Yeah.
One is finding bone-shaped bone.
Nice.
Yeah. Second,
that's right here, right?
Yeah. Second is learning how to properly map quarries.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, very
Crash course?
Yeah, being able to help like do practice and a lot more sense now.
Yeah.
Low point, there is none because my geometry is non-Euclidean.
Appreciate that, Henry. Nice. I like when someone takes the premise and turns it on its head in a creative way. Like, I know some people get mad at that. I'm like, no, extra points. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Zenith for today.
These guys learning how to map is, I mean, I feel accomplished that we got this area like gridded in. So
nice.
That was kind of what I had to do today. So.
Yeah.
And then we were helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Kai did some of the tags for me, and so
right,
that's a good way to learn when you think which number to write on there. It's a good way to write. Oh, okay. This is.
Wait, us standing on the hill going. No.
That's mostly what it is, yeah. And then you have to be outside of the shade darbs, and it's like, oh boy. Like, is it?
I tried to do it early in the day.
Am I getting these numbers wrong? Because I'm having heat stroke right now.
Yeah, we try to get it done. Yeah, when we still have a few. Functioning neurons.
Yep. Was that just the high, or was that the low too?
Yeah, I didn't really have any low points.
Fair. Yeah. Okay. Me asking you this question. That's the low point. I'm sorry, dog.
No. And then I'm glad that Spain won the World Cup. That was
okay, yeah. Good for them.
I only listened to the game, so I didn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't as boring as watching it.
Yeah. Macy, high point, low point for today.
Yeah, actually, I think my high point is finding that the original bone shard that I found was actually a little vert. So I'm really excited about that.
Excellent.
Thanks to Dawn's help, we identified that. But then I think my low point, probably the heat and the fact that I haven't had a shower in a while. Put the two together, just think about that and mull it over.
Yeah. Okay.
I can show. I can show chat the teeth I found this morning, as long as no one makes
teeth.
No one can make fun. Okay.
Fair.
Nobody make fun of the crack screen, or you don't get to see the teeth.
Oh, can you zoom in?
We'll probably have to drive separate.
Nice. Look at that. That could almost be a troedontid. It looks dromaeosaur, but very nice. And you just found those out on the surface, kind of near your toe?
Yeah, just out, just kind of walking at a 90-degree angle.
Nice. See, this stuff is everywhere here, chat. Just all over the valley floor, if you know what to look for. Well done, Kai. Shoot, that's awesome. Yeah. There we go. Good stuff. Yeah. Yeah, beautiful serrations on those mothproof. You're totally right. Yeah. Makes me want to go walk around and look for stuff too.
Do it in the morning. I tried.
Yeah, there you go.
I tried to do it yesterday afternoon, and
it's way too hot. Yeah. Fair. Yeah, my high and low point of the day. High point is probably Emily bringing all those treats and that ice. That is, oh, it's so nice to have. We're so spoiled. Yeah. Low point. Goodness. I don't know. Might be when I have to end the stream, chat, you know? Parting is such sweet sorrow. But we're going to have to do that pretty soon. So buckle up. See if we can raid into somebody else doing some science here. And excellent. I'm glad you... I'm really glad you like these streams, Emily. It's... If people who aren't necessarily like interested in paleontology to start with, if I can hold their attention and make these things fun, then that makes me feel like I'm doing my job right. And so I appreciate that. It means a lot that you enjoy these. So, yeah. Oh, and thank you, Lenina and Claire Burr. Yeah. High point, the number on the thermometer. Low point, that means it's hot. There you go. Speaking of which, ooh, do we have a new high point here? 112.6 in the shade. I think it's because it's sitting on, like if this were hanging in the air, it wouldn't be as hot. It's the fact that it's sitting on top of the solar battery. But still, that shows that that surface is that hot. It's pretty toasty out here. And they're starting to take down the shade tarps, so let me go ahead and wrap things up here. And tomorrow, we're going to be doing a little vehicle tour of the surrounding area, looking at some points of geological and paleontological interest. So that'll be cool. I'll get to be in air conditioning for a large part of the day. That's always a treat. Go see civilization for a little bit, or at least what passes for civilization in this part of the world. And I'll be back on Tuesday at 2 o'clock Utah time, Mountain Time, 1 p.m. Pacific Time, my home in California, and then whatever time that is corresponding to wherever you are in the world. And of course, these VODs are available on Twitch for a certain length of time and then forever on YouTube. So feel free to take a look at the backlog if you want some more paleontologizing tomorrow. Yeah. With that being said, let's see who else is here on Twitch right now. Don't go away just yet. Let's try and do a great big raid. Who else is doing some science here on twitch.tv? Here we go. Names. Let's see. Let's go see what Dynamite Twins are up to. They're in doing a live stream from New York City after the World Cup finals. Let's go see what they're up to. Raid. Dynamite Twins. No. It's hard to... These keys are so small. Hang on. Did I have that right? No, D-I-N-O might. Like dinosaur. There we go. Dynamite Twins. There we go. Excellent. Thank you, everybody. No, hang on. Did that work? I'm supposed to be doing this on... Oh, goodness. It did work? Can we cancel the raid? Because oh no, never mind. There it is. I can control it from here. Good. Thank you everybody for being here. Thanks for putting up with my ramblings out here. On camera on Tuesday. Today's stream, I feel. For your viewership, for your attention. Thank you to the subscribers and the stream. I could not do this without you. I would not be out here without you. So thank you very, very much for that. And likewise, thank you to the moderators who keep this a safe and welcoming community for everybody. I really appreciate you, mods. I hope you have an excellent rest of your weekend or your Monday, whatever it is, time it is for you. And I'll see you not tomorrow, but the day after. So take care, everybody. See you on Tuesday. Take care. Bye-bye.